What's going on, guys? So today we're going to do what is hopefully the first of many new versions of the Shoky Nerdcast. It's actually a Shoky Nerdcast one-on-one because it's just me and one other dude. One other nerd, because this is a nerdcast. Now, of course, this guy right over here, leader of the dog pound himself, Mr. DEWDAWG Reviews.
Yeah, man.
Or James Dew, realistically. That's who you is, if you don't mind. If you do, I'll cut that.
Nah, you good.
So, because I know there's been issues, but either way. So this kind sir over here is a great one-of-a-kind nerd from Georgia. As you see behind him right there, he definitely has an affinity for the Marvel Legends. And yeah, so real quick before I let you do your intro, we'll actually do the motto of the show. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So it is, you don't have to be a nerd for everything, but everyone is a nerd for something. So basically, the whole point of the Nerdcast, bring into things that you like to nerd about and talk about them. That's basically how it's always been. And in this case, it's you and me doing it. We ain't got to have a whole lot of people here. And with the one-on-one, we're going to go back and forth with a 5-question kind of deal. One each. Well, technically 2 each, and then 1 from you guys there in the audience. Of course, I asked you guys for questions a while back. Now, go right ahead, Mr. DEWDAWG. Tell everybody about yourself, just, your channel, whatever you want to talk, because they don't know who you are on my channel. I guarantee that.
All right, everybody. So, first of all, it's an honor to be here, and I've learned a lot about Gundam kits the last 2 hours. So, and it's very exciting. So, I dig it. I can see the enthusiasm. I can see why people get excited about that particular thing. So me as a collector, my main hobby is Marvel Legends. And my second, I guess, offshoot is Mezco 112 Collective. I got into that about 1.5 years ago. And that's kind of my new hotness, or whatever you want to call it, here at the DEWDAWG Pound on my channel. We just try to keep things as energetic, positive as we can. And, we just have fun. And, the DEWDAWG Pound is a very strong fan base. And I appreciate all of y'all and all of you new guys that may have never heard of me, or if you have heard of me, hopefully it's a good thing. But either way, I just want to thank you for listening tonight.
Yeah. And of course, it's an honor to have you over here on the channel, because you're a far greater collector than I. I've just started dabbling in the world of Marvel Legends and Black Series, stuff like that. And the guys on my channel have been trickling in. They're seeing these things. And one thing about me is I'm a broad nerd. I'm not a single channel, no pun intended. I'm not a single channel, just this one lane type of nerd. Never have been. So branching out, getting into the different collectibles and the toys on my channel has always been a separate staple for me. Yeah. And of course, as people on my channel know, I just started up the Shoky Reviews 2 channel to branch out, because the collectible side, the toy side, has exploded for me recently.
Oh, man, yeah.
To the point that I've got, when I get caught up, I'll have several weeks worth of content ready to go. So I've already got about a week's worth up on the channel, just, ready to roll out whenever the next day starts, basically. But this has been a hard world to jump into, coming from what is mostly a Gundam background, no pun intended. At least the guys on my channel, they think I'm just a Gundam channel, but I'm an all-around nerd. And just talking to you for the last couple hours before we started rolling, you're not a narrow nerd. You have your lanes, you have your cool stuff you like, but you're a little bit more broad than just the 1 or 2 things. We'll dig more into that as we go. Oh, yeah. But like the motto says, you may not be a nerd for everything, but everyone's a nerd for something. And that can be anything too, because I know you collect comics as well. And this is going to come up, because we didn't even talk about that before the camera went rolling. I've very recently got back into comic collecting. So that's probably a topic that will come up later. I'm waffling on some questions there. But for the most part, you've got your collectible people. I've got a lot of collectible friends. I've been delving into the world, and I wanted to broaden my subscribers' horizons. Because I've had Gundam nerds on. I've done other nerdcasts where we're just talking Gundam stuff, or Star Trek, Star Wars stuff. The fun stuff. Which, by the way, those early nerdcasts went for a long time. There was a whenever you get time or you got a long drive, there's a 4.5 hour long 90s cartoon podcast that we did.
I'll definitely have to check that out for sure.
3 days of research, man.
Hey, that's cool
and
though, man.
we cut it short. We only cut it short for time.
It's like 4 hours. What?
We weren't even through like 1998.
That's hilarious.
Because anyways, we won't go down that lane, but that's just the idea that we're here to talk fun. We're gonna have some fun tonight, hopefully. We've already had fun talking, and I've really liked being or dabbling, sticking my toe in the water as it is, the collectible community. I mean, I've been mildly into it forever. I've had Transformers and other figures just here and there, but now I'm actively like, well, here's a huge wave of figures that I just bought last week. You know, that kind of stuff. Or I just got this, you know, the Jade Giant himself just very recently.
That 2-pack.
That 2-pack. Just mild off topic here. Why is his head, shoulders, and other part a different green than the rest of him?
That's because Hasbro. That's why if you ever hear anybody in the collector community call them Hasblo, that's a reason why. Because that right there, it's weird because you get so much amazing figures from Hasbro, and then you get that, which is like 3 or 4 shades, which is very uncalled for. That's the kind of complaints that you hear in the collector community. Is that, you know, the different color? That's just ridiculous. But
I think the main, just going off on a branch topic right off the bat here, I think the main problem with this particular figure, and it's probably the same because I've noticed it in a few of these other older Marvel figures that I've reviewed lately, where paint finishes suddenly change. Even on the same limb, they'll suddenly change. With the Hulk in particular, the main core of his body is good, hard plastic.
Right.
But his extremities are soft. So,
kind of gummy.
The gummy soft stuff so that it doesn't break or anything. Like, it's easier flexible when you're trying to move a huge joint around, obviously. And you should know this. You're way ahead of me on these things. But I'm explaining it to the layman's on my channel. But I think that's where the paint differences come from, at least on these guys, when they're switching mediums. Because you should know this as well, that not everything takes paint the same way. And the softer the material, the weirder it is.
That's very true.
Because, you know, a head sculpt, you know, the heads are almost always a soft plastic, so they can pop them off and on. And so the paint on the heads are usually a little bit better, but also slightly different color. But the Hulk, you know, we were talking about the other green figure earlier. His color is consistent, and they're both Hasbro figures. His skin tone is consistent, but he also is almost exclusively that soft plastic. So
that's true.
That's a difference there. I mean, I like breaking.
That's an awesome point because even in the smaller things, like when you see a lot of the figures, either their neck peg or their wrist peg, you know, their arm will be molded in a color, and then the actual hands or the head will be molded in a different color. Yeah, that they try to paint over. So I mean, that's just
because it's got to be. It's usually because they can mold a color. It's so much easier, and then they can only match the paint so close, especially depending on what the base color of the thing is that they're painting. I even said it. Right. I forget which. There's one of these figures. I think it was the Iron Man figure, where some of the red is a little bit different from like one part to another. And the way I looked at it, because just knowing paint, odds are they painted over a black base, where the other thing was painted over a red base. So you can tell that's the difference. Anyway, we're off on a weird.
And I think we would if we really paid attention, we'd probably see more than what we actually see. I think that Hulk, since he's a solid green giant, I think that's why it just makes our eyes. It
stands out. Yeah, you can't miss it.
More, you know.
And they tried to disguise it, but they actually made it stand out worse by painting those the veins. Yeah. So the veins are not even the same color. So I think but it's the change in medium because
the only reason the original release, the single carded release, see, it had no veins painted, it had no hair on his chest painted, and his face wasn't painted that good. So even though it was still the same 3 greens of color, it didn't look like
it probably didn't stand out.
Exactly.
Because
stand out like that.
In this case, they shaded around the eyes, so they had the Scarlet Witch effect going on, and he's slightly more roided out. But it's almost like, and I brought this up recently a couple times. This guy's actually pretty good, but we've all got the Friday figures.
Hmm.
where the dude clearly it's last shift on Friday, he's ready
Oh
to get
yeah, man.
out, and then you
Can't wait
know
to get
that the
out of here.
QC manager's already left for the day.
Well, like Pounds, he had a review on one of his Venom figures, and the torso was turned around backwards. Like,
Yeah,
that was a dude on Friday that was about to hit the button. Let me check out of here.
you know what's really funny because we're
His
talking about
ab crunch was different.
the ab crunch was backwards. The we were just talking about it beforehand. The Hulkbuster build a figure that I'm trying to get all the pieces for, right? So mid review, so I'm comparing the one that came in this 2-pack with the
Right.
original build a figure, and I'm looking at the arms, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, because I had the chest and I plugged the arms into the chest, and I went, that doesn't look right. I realized that the bicep was backwards. It actually
Oh
when they
man.
put them in the package, they had rotated because it's got the bicep and elbow rotation. They
Yeah.
actually had the bicep part backwards on both of them. But the real question is it backwards on the original or is it backwards on the new? I made the match,
That's a
but
good question.
where did the change happen? Because it worked the same both ways because the elbow joint was the same. The bicep doesn't matter. So it was so
Right.
strange
Right.
because I pulled them up on camera. I'm like, that's not.
Like
And then
that's not
I thought
right.
I had them backwards. I thought they put the hands on the wrong bodies. And then I looked at
Right.
no, that's the only way those go on. And I'm like, it's like, well, doing all the other stuff I do, I look at the mechanics of how things go together, and I went, hold on,
See, and that's the
rotate.
thing with somebody like you that gets so detailed in the Gundam stuff,
Hmm.
dude. You may have a harder time than some of us doing the Marvel Legends stuff because you're going to notice
I
that kind of
nitpick.
stuff way quicker
I
than somebody
nitpick
like me.
everything, dude.
I
Like,
mean, because
okay,
if you notice that kind of, I mean, I'll notice like feet are wrong or like Pound said the ab crunch was wrong, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But the details you're talking about, man, I mean, that's
Well, when you have them side by side and it's supposed to be the same thing and it's clearly not, that's obvious.
exactly.
But like, say
Yeah, yeah,
like this version of the Marvel Now Iron Man, the black and gold
right.
one. This figure, I could have sworn it was a KO when I pulled it out of the box because the quality is so bad. Like this
Right.
one, I say is definitely a Friday figure or a Monday morning figure because
Yeah.
the paint between different legs, but between the lower part of the leg, the upper part of the leg is different. It's like there's no clear coat on some of it if there's any at all. The joints are like stupid loose. And mind you, I know this body's not the best, but then the shoulder pads won't stay on. They pop off at
Oh
the
yeah,
slightest movement. And like I said,
that's
I'm
true.
new. I'm a new person to this. This is one. Actually, this is one of the first ones of this wave that I even bought
Right.
because I wanted to get into that. And it came out of the box like this, and I thought it was a KO, and I paid slightly more money than retail for it because it was at a collector's store.
Right.
And I don't mean a lot. I just mildly over
No, I know
retail.
what you mean. And
But
I
for
mean that's disappointing when you do that and it's like, okay, I'm gonna build this guy, I'm gonna get the whole collection,
yeah,
and then it's loose like that, and
yeah,
but that's the problem with that's the big problem that you'll see in the collector community is
yeah.
those kind of
And
questions and
in paint blemishes, stuff like that. And this is something that I've learned because I was trying to find an invisible woman for Arthur, and I had a couple of them in hand. He's like, okay, well, which one's face is worse? Is basically what it came down to. I was like, well, this one's lips are on straight. This one's eyes are a little wonky, but this one has a slightly off kilter 4. And he's like, I'd rather have the off kilter 4 than a messed up face. And I was like,
right,
I
right.
understand that.
Okay.
That wasn't a problem. And that packaging was also, he didn't care about the packaging, but
Yeah.
I'm actually
Yeah.
sending him a spider ham that the package is totally mashed. But the figure is actually in good condition because he can't find a spider ham to save his life up there. So I grabbed one for him.
Spider Ham.
But just talking that wave as I'm going to cover whenever I get to actually reviewing them. The Scream figure, oh man, talk about Hasbro purposely making a shortage of a figure. It's just
Oh
so
yeah,
bad.
dude.
That
And it's the
one per case. It's
and
like
the
come
crazy
on.
thing is, um, what they've been doing the last couple of years is taking their and the comic book world's been doing this too, unfortunately, because
Yep.
of all the PC whatever bull crap, politically correct, all that whatever, which is insane. That's a whole nother podcast for a
Oh,
whole nother
we could totally go off on that later if you want, man.
boy. But anyway, unfortunately, it's come into our geek culture world. So now you have these, beautiful, voluptuous, thick
Uh huh.
characters, women characters, ladies, and now they've shrunk them down to no chest, no butt. I mean, and I'm not even trying to be perverted at all.
No, I get what you mean though, because if
all.
you look at something, you look at a female figure, a female like Marvel figure, for instance. Look at a She-Hulk from like, I don't know, pick 1997, 1998.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be a significantly built woman, and She-Hulk has her curves where she's supposed to have them. But if you put one out now, it's going to be built on one of these bodies.
Exactly.
And look at the Power Rangers figures, for instance, because I know you've got them too.
Right.
The women are all tiny and minuscule, mind you. Because it's Japanese, they have their curves. Right. Some slightly more significant than others, if we're honest here. But like, just random tangent. I brought this up in my review. Random tangent of the Yellow Ranger, because the Yellow Ranger in the Sentai footage was actually a guy, but the figures had to be girls over here. They had to add boobs to the Yellow Ranger, and it's a little bit funny. Like, you're like, I know she's not supposed to have a chest this size, so it's really strange. Like,
well, give me 1 second. I'll show you, because we didn't know we was going to even
that's
go
fine.
on this topic. Give me 1 second.
Sure, go right ahead.
I'll show you a perfect example.
We can be random.
Okay, thankfully I had both of these on the same shelf, and they were literally standing beside each other. So,
got a couple different Spider Women. Yep.
You know, she got the thickness going on. You know, whatever. And here's the new Spider Woman, same character.
Yeah.
No butt, no chest. I mean,
in comparison, yeah.
Because this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
But you know what?
This is like a few months ago. It's like, man.
But you know the funny thing is, because, well, designing by committee and designing by PC culture, as we're going to call it, has led to some odd decisions. However, those decisions are 3 to 4 years late. So
yeah.
Because it takes forever to get through a committee, it takes a couple years to design a figure properly, or at least it did before the computer aided everything. So that earlier Spider Woman that has all the curves, and she's got the thicker body and the nice backside. Let's just be honest here. Exactly. Yeah. But what's funny, they changed those because of quote unquote unrealistic expectations or image expectations. You know, that kind of crap.
Right.
However, that was 4 years ago, which led to the design of the new, more fit, lean, and it's not just her; it's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them. Like,
if you look at Instagram right now, what do you see? Tell me I'm not wrong. The thickness. I'm not wrong, because
you're not wrong.
It's 4 years ago. It was unrealistic expectations or image expectations. However, now those unrealistic expectations have it's actually become reality. It's so funny that it's reality now when it was cartoonish before. Now, mind you, it is cartoonish if we're honest.
Right.
However, it's a thing that is attainable by actual women, but it used to be an unrealistic standard. Now it's actually becoming a new thing to aspire to. Yeah. So in 3 years, we'll get figures.
Likes on Instagram and 1,000 likes on Instagram. If they were real women, I mean, that's just
and we're not going to talk. We're not trying to be perfect. We're actually talking reality. This is the reality of how silly our world is now.
Right.
Not only the women actually look like comic book characters now, but they're so late. They're so late on the concept of it that.
Well, it makes it feel irrelevant. It's like it's detached. You know, it's like.
But no, you're entirely right about that, though. But the fact that they shrink them down is so silly, because they wanted to have this is what a real woman, quote unquote, will look like. But now our real women, quote unquote, look like what we look like a freaking Marvel character from 1998. You know, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And you know. It should be the other way, where the men figures shouldn't be massive and hulking, because they can't look like that without way more work. Where's the reverse?
37-year-old dad bod, you know, like action figure.
Where's my Mankind figure where he's short, fat, and hairy? I want that.
Yeah, exactly.
I want my Mankind figure.
Rocket sock connection, brother.
Mr. Sacco. They have no idea. Like, I guarantee 90% of the people in my audience have no idea who Mankind even is. However, I had his book. By the way. It was actually
Okay.
it was actually really good read. I never knew that he had his ear ripped off in a German barbed wire cage match.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why he
I
always had
do
one
know
jacked
the
up ear.
guy is very intelligent. No
Oh
joke. Like
God,
all
yeah,
jokes aside.
Mick Foley. Yeah, no,
So I
he's
could, yeah,
yeah, no, he's. But either way, that's a complete different tangent. But no, that's
yeah.
actually you brought up. We accidentally found a good point in that. You guys might have learned something, and I'm sorry. I always apologize when people learn something on my channel. I was like, this is supposed to be
Just
fun.
learned. So.
This was supposed to be fun, and you
This is
guys
where we
learned.
insert the more you know rainbow. Yeah,
Add that in post.
yeah.
The more you know. Over the topic we just talked about. That's even weirder. But I mean, okay, so looking at it that way though, because I have Thundra, I got Thundra and Valkyrie here, and I guess they're supposed to be Asgardian women for the most part. They're
That's right.
huge as women. You know, they tower over the men in the same way.
Oh yeah.
They're all supposed to be the same scale, I assume, and they're huge and they're voluptuous, but they're also muscular. So I mean, like, it's kind of a weird. It's a dichotomy. It's bipolar nature of everything. So I don't know.
Since
I
you
mean,
brought up
oh, here we go.
Valkyrie, let me
We're
show
going.
you the.
We're going on a road trip, guys. Go slow so the camera
The
can.
world's largest Valkyrie Marvel Legends collection, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
I don't.
Never see as many Valkyries. Call me crazy.
I'm gonna call you crazy a little bit.
But I can't help it, man. Look,
is there a Y? I mean, is there a Y on that, or is it just?
There is actually. The more you know. Again, here's some knowledge for you. Comic book knowledge. Late 1960s, there was an army. Marvel Comics, God's honest truth. There was an army of Valkyries.
Yeah.
No joke. And it was the origin was literally from they stole it from Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Where it was
the Amazons.
Island.
Yeah. Like the Mascara. Yeah.
Man. That's where they got Valkyrie from. It was an army of Valkyries. As a matter of fact, if you've seen the Thor Ragnarok movie.
Yeah, there's Valkyrie, a whole bunch of them.
Actually, exactly.
They're an army,
so
but
anyways.
But they weren't identical.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah,
this is where you start. You need to hit up the guy who can make you different Valkyrie heads to go on the bodies.
That's exactly right.
Except you're gonna need three. You're gonna need 3 dozen of them, though. That's a problem. That might get pricey.
The only other reason is because nobody really wanted that figure, and it's the easiest one to find, and you can get them for like $5 or $6 loose. So I thought,
and it's a good figure.
Why not? Yeah, I like it.
No, that's a random. We're gonna go off on a lot of random tangents. It's okay, as long as we don't do 2 hours and then go. Oh yeah, we should really get back to the point. I'm gonna have to make it the point nerdcast.
No, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we're good. All right.
Too old.
So we'll. I'm not that much younger.
I'm just joking.
I know. All right, so we're gonna get to the real core of this. We're gonna get to our actual topics and questions.
Let's do it.
All right, so since you're the guest, you get to go first. So, of course, right off the bat, we go into personal questions. So whatever you want to know about me, just whatever, as a man, as a collector, as a whatever, as long as it's not a what is your favorite question, because that's a very short answer. We don't like short answers around here. We want conversations. And I got something lined up for you. So just so you know.
All right. Let's see.
And like I said, we've had a little time, a tiny bit of time to get to know each other. So, if you got a question.
I'm just really curious, I guess.
Sure.
What was your very first Gundam? What got you into it? What was your very first Gundam figure or kit, model kit? I'm trying to use the proper terminology.
No, you're good.
No,
you're fine. No, you're fine.
I don't know what.
No, you're good.
But I just thought that would be a neat question. Maybe somebody may not know that.
Well, it tends to come up actually quite a lot. Well, because like usually, it just kind of like in the collectible world, it's literally, hey, what was your first? Actually, I have that question in here. What was the first thing you bought that got you into collecting? And you're going to realize how I'm going to go slightly deeper on my question for you, just so you know. I didn't start warning people. It's like I tend to do a minor bit of research on people before I go into these. So basically, so first and foremost, the first one I ever built was my people will know, the MG 00 Riser, Master Grade 00 Riser. Sorry, I'll break down the vernacular so for somebody who doesn't know. So that's the larger scale, the 1/100 scale. It's more detailed. It was my favorite from my favorite series, the 00 series. And I'd never built one before. I'd built models. We discussed that earlier, and they know that I built model kits when I was younger in my teens, just not Gundams. I never knew the
Right.
models were a thing until like 2012. So 2013 is when I first got into it. 2012 is when I first ordered my kit. It just took a couple months. It was my Christmas gift to myself. Um,
Nothing
so
wrong with that.
nothing wrong with it. And so I mean, it started there. I ordered my first two kits back to together, saving shipping. Told you about it earlier.
There you
If you
go.
ordered $95 worth of stuff and combined they were $96, so I got free shipping on that deal. Shout out to Gundam Planet. I like you guys. Sponsor me.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, because I mentioned my charity contest earlier, Gundam Planet was actually kind enough. They donated some prizes for my contest, so
That's very cool.
I'm hoping for my next charity gig that they'll get a little bit more involved. They'll have a few more months to help out. But anyway, they're some of my favorite orders. Anyways, so it started with the fact that I found out the model kits were a real thing because I was watching the first Gundam Build Fighters. So it's actually a Gundam series about people who build the kits, and then
Nice.
by means of technology, the kits themselves can be used to battle. So the actual plastic model kits could fight each other. It's fun. It's a fun
Okay.
kit. It's a fun kids series, more kid oriented, but it's it gave them the opportunity to sell a lot of older kits. So they're going back. They do a minor retooling or some custom work to it. And what I've realized now, and I explained to some people, it was Bandai kit bashing their own stuff and turning around and selling it to us. Is really what they did, and
Nice.
it was a huge selling point. But watching that series made me realize, well, these are a thing, and that's when I immediately searched, where do I
Made
buy
that
Gundam
connection.
kits? Where do I buy Gundam kits? And that's how I found Gundam Planet. They were one of the few stateside order services, and that's actually in my. If you watch my um, not Gundam related skits that I did, at the very end, a guy comes in. It's like, "Hey, I got a question," and I was like, "It's not Gundam related, is it?" No, it is. And he said, "Where do I buy Gundam kits online?" Now, mind you, it's supposed to be interactions in a Facebook group, like somebody literally going into Facebook in a group and saying, "Hey, where do I buy kits?"
Hmm.
If you type that into Google, you would probably get the answer. And that's actually the
Right.
end of the skit, is literally where to buy Gundam kits online being typed into a Google search bar. It's like, come on, like seriously.
So you can find that. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the how and the what. The why is probably the other part of the question I think you want to know. Uh,
Yeah.
and it was one, I like the kits, I like the series, but at the time I was going through a really bad breakup. So I just ended a very long term relationship, and as we discussed earlier, I'd kind of given up on my previous hobby. They know craft beer, and it became a new distraction, a new hobby, something to help me get through it. And something I didn't get to cover earlier when we were chatting. There's scientific studies that show that there are certain things in your head that are in your brain that click and connect, and certain things work better when the process of building works through so many different parts of your brain that it actually not makes you smarter, but it exercises parts of the brain you don't normally use if you don't work with your hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
um, and also it's a great antidepressant. Like, I didn't know any of this until years later, but so I was working through my grief, my depression, stuff like that. And also it gave me, once I found out there was a community out there, because I didn't know, I'm just fresh into a thing.
Right.
Once I found a community and found a new group of people to hang out with, a new thing, a new outlet for, and I'm a creative person, because we talked about customization and stuff already. I'm a creative person. I needed a creative outlet, and I didn't have one at all. And I don't know about you, if you know this, but creative people, when they don't have a way to create, they literally go insane. It's like their brain starts doing all the bad things. So the
Yeah.
endorphin release of creating things and all that stuff. When you don't have that and you're depressed, it's
Yeah.
just
That's a bad
it's
combination,
a
man.
bad combination. So it came along at the right time in my life. Like, just coincidentally, I'm watching a Gundam series that shows this to me, and then I find out it's a thing, and then here we are,
There you go.
5 years later. I'm doing it quote unquote professionally on the internet.
And really, that makes sense in many ways as far as the whole building and the mind and all that.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't know. I know your subscribers definitely probably don't know at all, but I'm one of my full-time jobs is being a plumber. I've been a plumber for 18 years, and people
Mhm.
think I'm crazy because I can get into a house and start plumbing and putting all these pieces
Yeah.
together. And I get in a zone, dude. I
Oh
love
yeah.
it. Like, people are like, how do you love plumbing? It's a release, man. I
Yeah.
can get under, like I said, I could be there for hours, literally.
Mhm.
And that's me building. That's me,
Yeah.
putting things together.
That's your assembling plastic.
Yeah, exactly. So,
No, I think it was through your interview with Brock that I learned that. Because in my head, it's like I thought that you were a plumber, so I clearly was paying attention during that interview.
I heard that.
When you weren't showing off plastic figures, I heard somewhere in there you were a plumber.
Right.
And I do know as well that you are a pastor,
Right.
which
That's
is
right.
which I'm going to go after you for. No, I'm just kidding.
I hear you. Hey,
No, but I have because
that would not be anything new to me. So
I know, which is
trust me
which
on
when
that.
we get to my question, which is coming up very soon, it's going to have a circular logic to it, hopefully.
Can I go back to that first question?
Sure.
I know that was kind of a whatever, but kind of
It's a fluff.
a stem off of it.
Yeah.
I know in like the collector community, there's a big thing where somebody like me, for instance, I read comic books as a kid, and the comic books was my source into getting me to get the actual action figures. But it kind of it made it real to me. It made
Yeah,
a
of course.
image. Did anything like that happen to you? I mean, did you watch Gundam stuff? Like I said, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
about it. Was it
Yeah,
like
that's what I said.
cartoons or movies or whatever?
No, that's exactly what I said. The watching
Yeah.
because I had watched at that point I had already seen Gundam Wing, which was the first or second technically American side Gundam series that everybody grew up with in the late 80s. I'm sorry, late 90s. And then Gundam Seed was my first real step into the Gundam series, and I love that series. Now I've gone back and rewatched it as different eyes, basically, and I see the problems with it with an analytical mind. But right after Seed came Double O, and Double O was completely different, except if you compare it to other series prior. If you dig, you see Gundam has a lot of like in the way like Transformers, Marvel, they have a lot of similar themes. So even when they start over using similar characters, they usually go back to the same themes. And with Gundam, it's always about usually two sections of people split. Usually it's people from space versus people on Earth. In Double O, it was similar, but not quite the same. There was a lot of political stuff because it's a lot of times it's the haves and the have-nots. That's one thing I was analyzing things. With my job, I do nothing but drive a truck all day, so I allow my brain to do all kinds of other things, like think about why Gundam series are the way they are. And in Double O, it was like the haves and the have-nots. But in this case, it was reversed. The haves were the good guys, and the have-nots were the main world. So the world became the antagonist, and the good guy, or I'm sorry, the other way around. The good guys were technically the antagonist, and the world were the protagonist. It was backwards compared to a lot of things, analyzing wise. And the animation of Double O was fantastic. They stepped it up. They had a ton of CG. But made it, cell shaded CG, so it actually looked good. It fit in with the cartoon. Fast paced, great story, super in depth characters. One of people's favorite characters of most Gundam series is actually from that, and it wasn't even the main character, but it was Lock-on Stratus. He was a sniper, and spoilers for anybody, he dies trying to save everybody.
Yeah.
And he goes out in a fantastic fashion, and in one of the most heartbreaking scenes ever, because he had a little partner, his Haro, little ball-shaped robot, that was his assistant, and they recover his Gundam, but he's not in it, because he died out firing a gun, and then died in space, sadly. But his Haro is still sitting there saying his name repeatedly.
Oh, no.
And, like, it's like, lock on, lock on, lock on. It's so heartbreaking. But
it's almost like if R2D2 or one of the droids was in an X-wing or whatever.
And then the pilot was gone and it's still trying to contact him. Basically, it's what happened, dude. It's literally that. These things were BB-8.
Well, the reason I was wondering, because I kind of figured it was similar. I know you didn't say that, but I know, and like I said, I always tell some of these guys, you can tell they've never even read a comic book. I've had to tell some of them guys, read the comic book. I'm glad you're collecting, but it's like, get a little source.
The reason I love this guy, the reason I love that one, is because I
Yeah,
actually read Venomverse and Venomized.
well,
So
there you go.
the poison
And believe
figure.
it or not, those of y'all that may not know, that's a brand new character too. Even though it
Yeah.
is Peter Parker, spoiler alert, but
Yeah.
that's a brand new figure. Not just a brand new figure, but a brand new character in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Period. So,
Technically, yeah. All of and
which
dude,
is surprising, really.
and I don't think I mentioned it to you, but if they go full Venomverse, Venomized character waves,
Yeah.
like just full on,
Oh, man.
I'm in for every one of them. I don't care,
dude.
I'm down.
Give me that Monster Venom Hulk, dude.
Yes. No,
Dude.
I want.
Give me that.
I want. I want the poison venom pool. So after Deadpool got converted to a poison, I want that as a figure, and Carnage. I want both of those. They better.
It would not surprise me, dude.
But no, it's the physical embodiment of the thing that you see on the page or on the screen is always going to be that. That's one of the main things that any of us collect. Hello, G1 style Dinobots. You know, yeah. Of course, I grew up in the '80s. I'm gonna want that, especially being that these are the best G1-ish figures there are. And then now, this might actually be a topic that comes up here in a little bit. Thanks to Nate Simmons, I didn't realize he actually submitted the question.
Nate.
So that might come up later as our main discussion. But yeah, it's the physical embodiment of something we've seen on screen, and what the technology we've been getting to 3D render, to 3D print, to sculpt digitally, all these things. Like we're talking about this lovely guy already.
Oh yeah,
they couldn't have put this out 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Look at this thing,
Captain Fuzzy Pants Buddies.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome figure.
Oh, do you have the axe going through his backstrap? Or
yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but
no,
it's
that's
not
cool.
The axe, it's the
the spear thingy,
the
whatever.
Staff, yeah,
the staff. I never considered that because I was trying to figure out how he could hold all three.
I'm not sure if it was supposed to, but it looked good to me. I don't know.
I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. I mean, I was using that as his like stand there and be threatening.
Now he's got he's double wielding, dual wielding.
Yeah, cause I've got the hatchet axe in his hand. I don't have the other axe, but no, that's one of my new favorite things. But 5 years ago, no, they would never have been able to create something like this.
No,
even
incredible, man.
I mean, there are some amazing hand sculptors. But a lot of these things have to be hand sculpted. But now that they can take real 3D scans of the original masks or anything like that, they could totally do it. And now that we're getting so many CG characters in the first place, that instantly makes it easy to make a figure.
Absolutely.
All right. But no, that's a good starting point. That's a good starting point. Let me tackle you. Let me tackle you with a semi-deep question here. All right, so you're a pastor, you're a godly man, but you have also had your fair bit of controversy in the collecting world. You've been under attack for quite some time, having real threats, all kinds of terrible garbage happen to you personally. You know, people show up at your church, or like send stuff, whatever. Crazy stuff. Now, I know how I would react. You know, I can be me. How have you dealt with these things? Like, honestly, like, I mean, I've watched your channel for a while. I've seen you do it. I mean, how do you get through it? I mean, I've been under minor attack from people, but nothing like you've had to deal with.
Well, when it gets, let's just throw it out there.
Yeah, throw it out there.
First of all, it's extremely hypocritical. What I mean is, if I did what these guys have done, my name would never be out of anybody's mouth. It'd be on everybody's mouth. You know, DEWDAWG, James. I mean, whatever. These guys, when they started attacking, literally getting in contact with people I know in real life. See, it's a difference from me seeing
comments.
Let's just say Shartimus Prime or whoever. Me seeing them on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. It's a whole nother world when you personally contact those people. You just took it to a personal level. Now, me as a father and as a person that, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, a good old Southern boy. I don't know. Hopefully it's not even just a Southern thing. Hopefully it's worldwide. You know,
it should be.
As a father, I will say this. Thankfully, these people have not attacked my family personally. Now, they have contacted, you know, my wife through social media and this and that. But I just pray to God nothing like that ever gets to that point where they actually contact my family. Contacting my place of work, that's psycho anyways.
Yeah.
They're contacting members of my church.
That's yeah, I heard
something mentally is wrong there.
that means they track down
They'll have
people
to
of
deal
your
with that.
church, yeah.
Yeah, that's psycho, dude. I mean, not just one or two. I'm talking 30 or 40.
Yeah.
If they do that to my family, though, and this is not a threat by any means, you know.
No, it's just it's real talk.
Yeah, I mean,
let's just be real here.
Let's just say they haven't done that, because if they ever showed up here or whatever, like in real life, you probably wouldn't be seeing me on YouTube, because the only thing you'd see is, you know,
there'll be flashing lights.
News of a pastor done shot somebody, and I'm not even trying to be funny at all. Like,
no, it's real
that's
talk.
Something I never want to happen. But the reality of it is when they get that close to you, when they start contacting your friends and your church, for God's sake, you're crossing a line that is very dangerous. And I mean, it's very, very dangerous, especially over some toys and whatever. I mean, that's crazy. And I will say this, I'm gonna say this, and people that are I don't know your faith personally, and we're not here to talk about all that unless you want to.
No, we can talk. That's one reason I'm bringing it up, because you are a man of faith, and I've been there. I told you before, I was a youth pastor at one point.
Exactly. You know, so it's kind of like, man, that's the only thing that keeps me with a sound mind, because my flesh, it wants to go off. I'm not even joking. I can't tell you how many, since we're being transparent, y'all could probably hear the passion in my voice already. I'm getting antsy, but
you are a passionate person, my friend.
It's just, it's psycho. And really, if I didn't have that faith in God that I have, dude, I don't know what I would have done to some of these people, because the retaliation, the old saying in the Bible, you know, do unto others as you had them do unto you.
The old golden rule.
It's hard to walk it out, you know. It's easy to preach it, but man, if people even knew the stuff that these people, you know, send me and this and that, it's crazy. And nobody in the collector world, I'm gonna say nobody, trust me, no big deal, you know. And they act like, you know, everybody else is a victim and I'm not. You know, forget DEWDAWG, forget him. He's a scammer. He's a racist. I've been called all this stuff, which is insane.
You're Southern. You had to be racist, man.
Yeah, I'm Southern. I'm white. I'm a male. So
I can hear a cross burning in your yard, man.
Yeah, exactly. Rebel flag behind me. I mean, you know, all that stuff.
First of all, I would not blame you for having a rebel flag. Pride in the South. Would it be? I'm from Texas, brother. I would not even. But we're not going to go into why you can have one and why people think you shouldn't. But we're not going there.
Well, the hypocrisy, like I said earlier, is there's this one guy on Instagram. It's a black guy, African American, whatever. He's never been to Africa, but he's black and he's in America. So let's put it that way. Anyway, he's a big time Instagrammer, dude. I've never heard of him in my life. But what happens is people jump on this bandwagon. It becomes a witch hunt.
Yep.
And he's racist. Oh my God, he's racist. DEWDAWG's racist. And this dude literally posted, he started photoshopping my face on Nazi stuff. Like,
I saw that. I did see that.
Photoshopping. Yeah. And I like to bust it out laughing. Now, this is going to be controversial, man, but I'm going to tell you,
we're here for controversy.
It's dumb. I click on his Instagram, and the first thing it says, Black Panther, and we ain't talking about the Marvel superhero.
Nope, the other ones.
It says Black Lives Matter, and all this other, and I'm like, man, you calling me racist though. But my bad. If you're Black Panther, Black Power, Black Lives Matter, that's not racist at all whatsoever. But I'm racist. See, and that's the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah.
And people were calling his stuff art. It was art. Oh, that's art. You're just expressing yourself. That kind of stuff just literally blows my mind.
Well,
I mean, it's amazing, man.
To kind of go back to the core of it though, people expressing themselves to your friends, your family, your coworkers over toys, nonetheless. And even, I mean, I'm not here to accuse nobody about nothing. I'm just saying over perceived scamming. I don't know the story. I don't care. I'm just here to talk about the man behind the story. And I don't even care what anybody thinks about it outside of this. I don't care what you think about me. I'm here to be me. He's here to be him. If I got a problem with it, I'll boot his ass off the channel. I don't care. And that goes for anybody, not just you. But it was the man of faith part that I wanted to know about, because, I mean, I know you're a pastor. I caught that Sunday morning live stream you did before you had to go out and do your thing. And I know me. you know, I grew up Catholic, and then once I reached the age of reason, I changed things up. I went AOG, thanks to my high school girlfriend, and
Yeah.
I stayed deeply involved in my church for probably about 12 years, until the and we could really go off on established things, but I had a particular problem just with my church itself,
Yeah.
not the faith, not religion, my church
Yeah. That
itself.
particular
It,
church.
there was an extreme lack of things that needed to be there properly, and there was an extreme presence of things that shouldn't be. I'll just say that, not to say anything terribly
Right. Right.
negative, because there's a lot of good people involved, and there's not everybody, it's not everything, but it just wasn't me. It wasn't a place I felt I needed to be anymore. Um, but I've never given up on the faith. I've never given up on believing, and maybe I've given up on the practice, so to speak. But I believe that we're going down this road right now. The practice of worship and the practice of your faith is in everything you do. It's not in what you
Right.
do on Sunday
That's true.
morning. So,
That's
you
true.
know, I try to be a good person in the world. I try to be all the other things that God told you should be, to be a child of God, to be a Christian, which means little Christ. You know, if we're going there,
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. I've been there. I've given some sermons in my day, brother.
I
Uh,
heard that.
but there's a reason I can publicly speak so well. Um, just minor tangent. We need to play Bible roulette sometimes. If there was dead air, Bible roulette, pull out a thing, get to it. You
Yeah,
know.
man.
But just knowing that how I would be in that situation, and I've had some pretty crappy people in my comments. I've had some pretty crappy people on Facebook. Nothing like you've dealt with at all. And I hope to not go there. But I've got people who probably don't like me, that don't like my opinion of things. Once again, over plastic figures, and the way I run my channel. I'm not a horrible jerk by any means, but some people don't like the way I do things. It's just
Right. No,
we're gonna be different.
personality, whatever. I mean,
We all have different personalities, but you know, I've watched you at least over the last few months since a lot of the stuff has happened, and like to handle it with a little bit of grace, as it were, instead of picking up a shotgun, you know,
right.
and
Right.
and
Which I
because
have several in my house, by the way, just in case
in case
y'all
you're
want to know
in
that.
case you were wondering, got a Mossberg, it's
You
fine.
know, throw it out there. You know.
We could talk. I'm just going to talk a little louder. Tinnitus is a real thing. Uh, but anyways, I love
Well,
that bit.
I'll
I
tell
love
you
those
what.
bits in Archer. But
The most important thing about, and even when Brock, Life with Brock was interviewing me.
yeah.
Dude, I never played the victim. Never will. That's not I don't have a victim mentality.
Oh yeah, you
Um,
did. I heard what you
yeah.
said. That
Oh my
one.
God.
You blamed it all on Shartimus. I heard it.
What I had to do. Yeah.
Sorry, we're
It's
we're
all
being the
his fault.
comment
It's all
section.
Shartimus's fault.
We're
It's all
we're
him.
this.
Well,
People
you
talk a
know.
lot about Shartimus. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. It's,
And I'm on the outside, and that's all I hear. Shartimus, this Shartimus.
Yeah.
I don't know the dude. I don't watch
Shartimus
his
is the man.
channel.
Well, what I had to finally do, it got so bad where
Yeah.
the emailing and Facebook, I mean, it was insanity, dude. So after about 25 or 30, now this is, when I say 25 or 30, I'm saying that we know of. There were probably more than that. 25 or 30 people, members of our congregation that actually told us that, hey, these people or whatever are saying brother, it's so much disgusting stuff, man. That's all I can tell you, man, without just going.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Anyways, so finally, one Sunday morning, now we do live streaming at our church, so it's publicly, you can watch it or whatever. It don't matter who you're from or whatever.
That's cool.
And we had to cut the live feed
Because comments, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had to. Well, I had to cut it because I wanted to get down to the nitty gritty. To our congregation itself, we have about 400 members. So right then and there, I told everybody, listen, told them my side of the story. First of all, they thought it was weird that 37-year-olds collect toys. So those of y'all out there that, think you're cool and you're commenting and messaging people that don't know a thing about anything, they literally think you're mental. I mean, I hate to blow your mind, but that's just,
what?
It's just abnormal to them, is what I'm saying. And the funniest part, though, I told them about the racism stuff because the guys were saying, oh, did you know your pastor was racist and blah, blah, blah. Well, the guys they were messaging, half my congregation is black. 10% of them are Latino. How is a preacher racist when half his congregation is black? 10% of them's Latino, brother. I mean, Do you really think in real life these black people and Latino people are actually gonna come to my church if I was man? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate just a little here.
Okay, yeah, do it.
Because one, you never really know a person. And there have been some let's just say more than questionable men of faith in the world. Some of a very particular faith. We're just gonna say that. I had a very good priest growing up. I didn't have to worry about that, thank God. Thankfully. Men in leadership positions are always questioned about their everything. They're always put under a microscope. And for you to be in a far more public forum here on the YouTubes and on social media in your hobby, not even about your faith or your job or anything else like that, to draw in that and combine with reality, the reality of your position in your church, people are dumb. Let's just say this. But it doesn't matter what's real as long as it's perceived as real.
Dang, that's a good point, dude.
Because as long as some idiot out there says, well, look, he said this about this guy because he's black. It's like, no, I said it because he's an idiot. I don't care that he's black. And I'm not saying that's what happened with you, but the color didn't matter. An idiot's an idiot. You know, I'm going to fix an idiot one way or the other. I don't care what color his skin is or what he's driving or where he went to school or what he believes in. If he's an idiot, he's an idiot.
That's true.
So, but for somebody to go be like, you know what? I don't care that this guy's a pastor. He's clearly faking. He's really a racist. He says all this other garbage and talks trash about people. He scams people and all this. A lot of people are going to believe that because in reality, we've seen a whole lot of that men of faith be put into question. And it sucks because there are plenty of good ones. There are plenty of scammers. There's one here in Houston, happens to be the biggest scammer in the world, if I'm honest. I've been to that church. I've seen how much it costs.
I've never
the
been
biggest
there,
church. I've been there. I've seen it. I mean,
well,
like,
back to what you were saying, or what we were saying. You know,
yeah, back to the real topic at hand. We're going to delete all that.
It's just hilarious because with me, anyways, people. Here's what the main thing I get all the time. Well, dude, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Dude, how do you not take it personal when you got voicemails at work, when you got emails at work, and you got all these people being, tracked? You had to track these people down, dude. Like somebody literally had to sit there and figure out like who I'm friends with, who's in my congregation, who goes to my church. I mean, that took a lot of scheming and a lot of time.
Took an enormous amount of effort. Well, sometimes it's not a lot of effort.
But hey, man. But I'm the one. That it just blows my mind. It's amazing, and it is what it is. I don't. And then what was funny, Brock, he asked some very awkward and tough questions. And I told him, we did the same thing me and you did. We talked beforehand.
Yeah, of course.
And I told him before we started ours, I said, dude, you do know that no matter what you ask and no matter what answer I give, they're gonna believe what they're gonna believe.
They're gonna believe what they believe. Yeah.
It don't matter, man. It don't matter because they still gonna believe.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what I was hearing. My light is hitting my microphone whenever I lean against. There we go. I was hearing bong, 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 bong.
Proved a couple months later because this one particular guy, a younger guy, he literally, I called him. Of course, he didn't know I saw his little conversation. He was basically running his mouth about me or whatever, that ain't nothing new. But I'm sitting there thinking, laughing. I'm like, dude, you literally was in the conversation, like the live chat, asking questions when Brock was asking all these questions. And there again, apparently it don't matter what I said. Apparently I was lying. Everything I said was a lie. Everything, it was made up or whatever. So, which I knew that anyway. I was like, dude, it don't matter what I say or what question you ask.
It ain't good enough.
People gonna believe what they're gonna believe. So.
Well, you've been lying this whole 3 hours we've been talking. As far as I know, every single word. The whole 3 hours, man. You don't even. Those aren't even Marvel figures. You got a green screen behind you.
Well, exactly.
You're fake nerding,
DC,
man.
They're DC multiverse, man.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Crap,
I can believe that. I will absolutely believe that those are not DC figures. Though I will say,
you'd rather believe it's a green screen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do.
All I can do is answer your question, brother. It's extremely hard as a Christian, as a believer that expresses his faith like I do. I'm not saying there's no YouTube Christians out there. Obviously, I'm stupid. But I do express my faith. Everybody that follows me, whether they hate my guts or love me, they know I'm a Christian. Bottom line. Now, whether they agree with how I do my Christian stuff, that's whatever. That's between them and God. But yeah, it is difficult. It is hard being transparent. Sometimes, brother, I have to back away because I can't tell you how many videos I've made that I wanted to upload, but then I just deleted them.
Oh, I can. I believe you.
Oh man. So,
you had to rage quit your own video is what happened.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, okay.
Well,
you're fine. You're getting work. You're getting fired up. That's good. I like fired up. It makes for good conversation. But yeah, I mean, you're a passionate guy. You have a lot of fervor about you, and I've noticed that just watching any of your reviews or just watching your live streams or talking to you for the last couple hours, and without that background of faith, without that instilled in you, you would be doing something stupid in retaliation. You would take, like I told you earlier, stupid begets stupid.
Yeah.
Unless someone is smarter enough to not.
Don't know. Here's what these people don't know. The
Oh,
person I was before I got, if I did not know Jesus, did not have faith.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm crazy, man. I would hunt those down. Like, I know they think that's funny, but
I'm gonna have to edit this.
That's how literally Jesus. Not trying to sound cheesy.
No, yeah.
He's holding me back, like for most of the time. I'm just telling you, that's just the truth.
He's like, no,
it's not a threat.
No, Jesus is your boy holding you back. You're all like, come on, get, and he's like over your shoulder. No, you're good. Stay back here.
Jesus like,
stay back here, dude.
It's all right, dude. Just hold on.
It's
and
okay.
That's the reality.
It's okay, buddy.
It sucks. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it. People
I know.
want to run their mouth. They'll continue to do it.
Well, I've noticed it don't matter what community you're in. There's backbiting. There's civil wars about everything. One little person does one thing wrong, and one person says, "Hey, man, get him." You know, it's only got to be the bigger guy. It's always going to be the bigger guy saying, "Hey, go get him." You know, but then it's got to be of the real bigger person to say, "Look, it ain't like that." You know, we got to, know, we don't have to be this way. We got to do this. And, you know, I commend you for holding yourself to a higher standard than the people who are coming after you, because I know how easy it is to devolve to that level. Because I've been there.
Right.
And like I told you earlier, I've had to hold myself back a little bit in comments. You know, because I see somebody say something stupid, and I've been like, 2 weeks ago, I'd have been like, oh, I'm rage typing. I got my, that mother, you know. It's like, But lately, like, I've realized that, like, I don't like the person that I've been turning into. Because I'm turning into one of those people. And I don't mean anything in particular, but
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like
that's what you don't want to.
And I don't want to do that because I know how I can be. I know I can be turned up. It's like I know I've got some anger issues sometimes because I've had a lot of pent up aggression over the years. You know how it goes. And the internet is a place for pent up aggression to be concentrated and forced out in words on a screen. You know, and that's a problem. And you know,
they're called keyboard warriors too. They think they're this huge.
Hey, I know in person some incredibly massive keyboard warriors / trolls. A person who purposely, actually multiple people, who purposely, regardless right or wrong, force it on. And I hate it. Literally to the point that we can't be in the same room for more than about 30 minutes. And we to keep the peace, we keep that space because it is a public forum, and we are both leaders of said public forum, and so we keep that space. We like to try to keep the peace, but there has been times, and I caught myself, how many months ago? About 6 months ago, I almost got into it with a dude in the middle of a meeting. Like we're having a gunpla meet, and I got in dude's face. I'm like. I've never done this before in my life, dude. I never literally got in his face. What? And he just kept staring straight down at a thing because he knew better. He's like, not that I'm saying he knew I'd kick his ass, but he knew this is not he knew he went too far and went, okay, we got to get out of this. And if it wasn't for somebody else watching from the outside going, whoa, basically go get the principal is really what happened. And it actually triggered a conversation, a massive group conversation. We actually got together on a group chat with everybody available to listen publicly, and we all talked it out. And we said, look, we can't have this thing happening. We've got personalities that clash, but that's fine as long as you got to know when to stop. Things have been pushed too far. Things have been said that you can't take back. We're pointing out people's deficiencies as a joke
Yep.
and pushing it way too far to the point that people who are in the group and are watching this and have those deficiencies are getting truly upset and don't want to be a part of it anymore. And we literally took the internet and the problems. Mind you, this was happening in real life. It was people who took that internet personality and brought it outward into the real world
Right.
that it became the problem. So it's the same thing here on the YouTubes, and like some of the situation
Well,
you've got.
my thing, I just don't understand, and I get it. It's human, it's people,
Mhm.
and everybody, everybody doesn't have the same faith. Some people don't have morals at all. Some people don't have that moral compass. Some people were raised different, obviously, from split families. Some were raised just mama, just daddy, no mama, no daddy. I mean, but like at the end of the day, it's like some of these guys that's been, hoarding stuff up and keeping, for instance, perfect example, keeping photos of like my face or screenshots of stuff I've said or whatever from 2 years ago. It's like, guys, you literally keep that stuff in your phone though? Like, I mean,
so
I know
that they
I'm an
can,
attractive dude, but you like looking at my face 2 years later? Like, I mean, am I that sexy? Like you sitting there, running your mouth, and you 2 years later you still got my photo in your phone? That like, I mean,
it's the
you
cloud,
see what
man.
I'm
It can't
saying?
help it.
It's like, why you? What? That's just weird to me, man.
But
It's
yeah,
weird.
I mean, you do have that point, and it is the main problem being now is the overly connected culture we have. The literal world is at your fingertips now. We can talk to anybody at any time from anywhere, and we can at
Well,
least.
here we are, Georgia and Texas, just like that.
Yeah. Hey, I was talking to a dude in Japan, on FaceTime, no big deal,
So,
But
no problem.
the fact that you can, there's no longer a filter, there's no longer a barrier between your terrible thoughts and the person you want to say them to.
You just hit it on the head right there.
And the thing is, and it's anybody, I've been there. I've said some terrible things to people before in my life on the internet. And then I went, I probably shouldn't have said that. And then I said it to their face, and I felt better. I was like, oh, I said it to your face. That's okay. I said it on the internet where everybody could see it. That's terrible. But it's now, there's no thought, there's no morals, there's no nothing, and it bleeds into everywhere. And we live publicly here on the YouTubes or on social media. Everybody does now. We all live publicly, and we try to keep the tiny bits of your actual life separate until people find your personal life because they're obsessively crazy. And yes,
right.
Hold on, wait. I want to address. I've got you pulled up here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna address everyone right now. It is crazy to look up the people on the internet, find out where they live, and send them things without their permission. Don't do it. Okay. So now that I've had that public service announcement, because, and I was going to tell you this story earlier when you were going in there. There's a guy in the Gundam community. He's notorious, especially on YouTube and other forums. And this was hearsay. He's a very odd person to begin with. I've had to ban him from my channel because he brought in bad people. People coming after him in my channel brought a huge negative. Right. Okay, but the stories go that one of our more prominent YouTubers in the Gundam community, he found where he somehow, by way of whatever, found out his address and sent him, like, no joke, like a bunch of like naked baby dolls.
Yes.
On top of that, he found somehow got his wife's, well, now wife, phone number and was sending her random text messages at any given point. Mm-hmm. Guys, there is an actual barrier between us and you, and it's called reality. If we want to actually reach out and talk to you and address you in real life, we can do that. Don't do the creepy thing and find us in real life. Like, we put ourselves out there, like, between you and I, we know each other on Facebook now. And, I had to give you my address earlier because you're sending me an awesome Silver Surfer. By the way, thank you for grabbing that for me. But, that's my trust to you that you're not going to be one of them weirdos,
the only thing I'm sending you is that Silver Surfer.
Yeah, but you will now have my address. However, I've had to ship out. Right. I've had to ship out stuff to winners of things, and I've had to trust that they aren't going to be those weirdos who now have my address. Which is why, I needed to get a P.O. box. But there's a shield, there's a barrier, guys. Just respect that barrier. The glass in front of you, whatever you're watching on this screen, That's as close as you need to get to us without our permission, ever.
That is very, very wise words. I mean,
I
that's
try to be
just.
very wise. And like, if we want to have a public meetup, if we want to do this, that, or the other, if we want to have a live stream and talk to you guys, that's as close. He's like, we're doing that because we want to be close to you guys. We want to have a communication. We want to have a community. What we don't want is the creepers attacking us in real life, calling the people we know, whatever. Okay, you don't like what I do, fine. Don't call my mom and tell her about it. Only my wife gets to do that. The wife is the one who gets to tell my mom all the bad things I did so that I get punished at Christmas or something. I don't know. But all right, that's enough of the heavy conversation. Let's go. No, I mean, but that's because I wanted to talk to you about it. I've heard your side. I've been on the outside, but I haven't got to talk to you about it. And with the recent hacking,
it's a fight, man, because it does. I will say this, like, as far as my faith is concerned,
yeah,
I've been saved. Well, first of all, I've been in church all my life. I've been saved. If y'all don't know what that means in the Christian world, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
I feel like we shouldn't have to explain it. Well, I'm 13.
I know. Unfortunately, sometimes, but
okay.
Now I'm 37 years old. I can assure you, no matter what, and this is not like some dare or whatever, wanting to do something, but there's nothing that's going to waver my faith, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. I'm very founded in my faith. I know that no matter what happens to me physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever you do to this shell is pretty much irrelevant for the most part. Yeah, it's going to hurt my family's feelings if I'm gone, if I die, whatever, for a little while. But at the end of the day, eternally, I know where I'm going. And there's zero that anybody can do on YouTube or whatever else that's going to affect that.
Yeah.
Now, saying all that, there again, the brother gave y'all some wise words. When you start getting too personal, there's some flesh, there's some things that a man's got to do sometimes, especially when it gets too crazy. And all I'm saying is, I just hope it never, ever, ever gets to that point. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that out of love, too. So y'all can call it whatever. Y'all can say, oh, the preacher's over here threatening people. Y'all can call it whatever, but I'm just
not a threat. That's not a threat. It's a promise.
So it is what it is, man. Yeah. So anyway.
Hey, we have the right to defend ourselves against creepy people.
I mean,
whether it's digitally or in real life, either way. Because I had that creeper dude, he wanted to send me stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm not giving you my address. Period. No. I said, but I politely let him down. I'm like, no, it's good, man. You don't have to send me anything. No, I want to do that. No, I'm good. Thanks.
And yeah, you have to do that. Thankfully,
Now, if somebody decides to figure out where my wife works and want to have a conversation with some people outside of they're end running me to do whatever. Jesus might not be holding me back the way he's holding you back.
No, you're right. And see, people that really, you could always tell people that have, and we're not trying to get into no biblical discussion or whatever, but you could always tell people that have no idea about the Bible.
Yeah.
The reason is when they start saying, "Don't judge me." What Bible are you reading? I'm just asking, because what Bible are you reading? The Bible says, "Judge them by the fruit they bear."
Yeah,
it is what it is, man. I mean,
I'm gonna make a bad joke at the expense of that.
Go ahead.
Christians are about the most judgmental people on the planet.
Unfortunately, yes.
True. It's the hypocrisy in the basis. Let's just be honest here. Yeah, it's both judge people by, like you said, judge a man by the fruit, judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. But unfortunately, it's the people who don't bother to see what fruit the tree is actually bearing versus what they see from across the pulpit.
Or even this, if your fruit doesn't look like my fruit, then we don't need to be,
You're not as. I was gonna say you're not as fruity as me. That's even. That's even funnier. But no, it's there's a lot of judgment, the wrong kind of judgment, and honestly,
I do know that.
Sorry, my ears are getting hot.
Outward about my faith.
Huh?
I mean, I will say this, and I believe this. If I wasn't as outward, then I guarantee you 99% of everything that y'all, even yourself, you're a Gundam dude that you've heard about me would have never existed. Simple fact. It's just what it is. I mean,
You're blaming your faith for why people hate you. I don't think that's what God wanted.
Well,
Well, we all know how.
That's such an it's such an easy out. It's like, oh,
Hold
he's a
on.
preacher. Oh my God.
You know what? I will settle a whole lot of arguments for people right now. None of you have been persecuted as the Jews. Ever in
You're
history.
right about that now.
I will make that argument to
That's
anybody talking about the way anybody's been treated. Now, mind you, there's some terrible tragedies in the world, especially the modern world, that are still happening.
Oh, absolutely.
Nothing is as bad as what the Jews have been through. Hey, baby. You want to bed? Okay. I love you. No, I said that'll be cut. But no, because I had, I say this to people who don't know this because I did a research paper way back in high school. The Pope himself, head of the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
Jesus
I know
on
all
earth,
about the Catholic Church. Trust me.
had to tell people to stop blaming and killing Jews for the Black Plague.
That's crazy.
Christians / Catholics were blaming and punishing the Jewish people, wherever they were in Europe, for the Black Plague. They had to step in and say, don't do that. So right now, we're being the Pope and telling you to not do that. No, I'm just kidding. It's like back then, they had to tell people to not punish other people for their faith because they're blaming something that had nothing to do with them. Now we have to do the same thing on YouTube in a slightly different context.
Welcome to 2018.
It's exactly the same as the 13th century. It's exactly the same. It's still stupid humans doing stupid things. Except now we argue over whether somebody actually got a plastic toy in the mail or not, over blaming the death of millions on a race of people. Either way.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut some of that, but that was the truth, is that nobody's really been there. And also, I'm just going to say this, I don't know reparations to anybody because my grandparents were actually slaves to the Germans. So,
And see, that's what blows my mind.
I'm cutting that, but it's true.
Whatever, man.
Yeah. When somebody tells me they need reparations because black people were enslaved at some point in history in America, I'm like, okay, that was like 300 years ago, roughly. No, okay, not that bad. It was about 120 years ago. My grandparents in the 30s and 40s were in fact enslaved by the Nazi Germans over in the Ukraine. So I have closer slaves to me than you ever did. Yeah. Where are my reparations? I'm going to Berlin tomorrow to demand reparations.
But you're right, just joking, brother. So I mean,
no, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
No,
because my grandparents were enslaved in another country, not here in America.
Right.
So I'm not demanding reparations from any American. I'm going to Germany to go get my reparations for what the Nazis did. Because remember, all Germans are Nazis.
All of them.
Remember, that's right. And remember that all white boys from Georgia have burning crosses in their yards.
Oh,
and hoods.
Light it up,
and hoods hanging in their closet.
Where do y'all think? Hey, where do y'all think these folks get the word lit from, man? Come on, y'all young here. Lit, man. What y'all?
Wasn't that
I'm from Mississippi. Man.
Wasn't that a really crappy punk band or rock band in the 90s? I'm just kidding. Lit was a band. I'm just joking. Okay, so let's get off of this.
You're joking about the stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna cut whatever, but there again, this guy.
Some of it I would leave.
Black guy, whatever. He's sitting there, on his Instagram, thousands of followers. 20,000, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, big timer, And he's got these action figures he's posing or whatever, and he's got all the black action figures, around the white cop action figure holding a gun to the black, action figure's head, and he's like, "This is me daily. This is my daily life." I'm thinking, bro, really? This is your you literally have to daily though? I mean,
I think what he meant is he plays with toys daily, not.
Yeah,
See, you took that out of context. You're racist.
That's what I did.
He meant the toys every day. You thought he meant he was getting persecuted by the white man every day. See,
that's exactly.
See,
see how that plays.
We're done playing. That's the caption. We done playing. All right.
We're serious.
It's no. That's we're gonna go for a much lighter subject. So about that hood you keep in your... No, I'm just kidding. Hey, they're Christians too.
They're hard to see out of those things, man. I'm just saying.
Well, that is the other thing. It's like, hey, that is technically a church service. they just hold it outdoors.
It's a gathering, man.
It's a gathering. It's like a Magic the Gathering. That's why they all dress
Oh
like
my god,
warlocks.
it's crazy.
I just went in a really weird direction there with that. I don't, okay, so whatever topic you want to talk about that isn't the weird personal stuff. So any nerd topic you want to talk about, anything you just want to BS about for a while, it don't matter. Whatever you got, brother.
Let's
Let's
see
talk about
here.
that racist guy on Instagram again. No,
Yeah, let's talk about that.
let's talk about black.
Racism. You know what? Hey,
Uh-oh.
dude,
No, uh-oh.
you want to
No.
talk about racism? Hey,
No, let's not go there. Let's keep it light, tight, and bright on here. I'll limit that one. Let's talk nerd culture.
no, don't go that far.
We already talked. We try to keep it
Yeah,
slightly
I mean,
PG.
well,
Just
of course, you're from Texas too, but I mean, I'm originally from Mississippi, and it's crazy. Anyway, it's just,
no, I got you.
I don't know.
I got you.
I don't know, man.
It's a different. You know what? It's a different world. I'm 35, so I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
It's not the world we grew up in,
No,
and
I'm just saying, dude.
and it's not the world we were promised when we were kids.
Like, just take something simple like the Dukes of Hazzard, dude. It's the original TV show. I ain't talking about the crappy movie that came. If you go back and even watch it, as campy as it was, as cheesy as it was, dude, they actually had good morals in that shit. They had nothing to do with racism just because the doggone
there's a flag. Okay,
the flag on the
now,
and people. It's gotten so ridiculous, man. Where you just that's
now
the kind of stuff that just
it makes me mad that because I did like the Dukes of Hazzard, and plus the Dodge Charger is one of my favorite cars ever. That they actually went and retroactively removed the flag from the roof of the official General Lee that's on display. And
that's what I'm saying.
I'm like, it's a thing on a car. It's like, you know what? I mean, they never ran down black people in it. It's like
you same thing, you know, with the monuments and all that stuff. I mean, dude, it's like these are literal
like I said,
monuments.
Don't get me started on the tearing down of monuments or the
what.
I really do want to avoid the topic of the race war here because we literally could talk about we could have a whole let's jump on something else. I know that's always going to be a hot topic. Let's just be honest here. And it
don't matter what.
And with everything that's going on with Trump lately, it's even worse. It's so dumb.
Oh, I know. And
we're not going to go. Let's like the. There needs to be a movement in our world, in the YouTube world, in the social media world, where people are getting persecuted like you. There's got to be something like that. That's a real movement behind it, not just like some guy having to talk over here and then there's 17,000 people over there, you know, mean mugging him from a distance. That's just a thought. All right, fine. If you're not going to come up with a topic right now, I'll come up with a topic.
No, I was trying to think, but go ahead.
No, just I'll make it easy. I'll go first because I mean we've been talking for a long time. That is kind of the problem. We talked so much about stuff already. It's like, should I just intercut this conversation from earlier? No, just that's too much work. Too much work. We'll just fix it in the edit. Hold on. Let me see here, because I have questions. Because I had a couple other things that was a very long and deep topic. Like I said, I like topics we can really sit down and get to the nitty gritty of. And plus, I knew that was going to be a hot button issue with you. That's why. But it matters because it's not just you. It happens everywhere, and it's not just the he screwed me over on a toy one time on a trade or whatever. It goes beyond that initial transaction that went whatever direction.
Those of y'all that don't know what in the world he's talking about this Fin Fang Foom Build-A-Figure.
I wasn't even going to cover it.
Yeah, it's so irrelevant to me. That's the funny thing. It's so relevant to everybody else, but it's so irrelevant to me because it's so dumb and lame and so long ago. It's like these people make up this stuff. Oh, he's got a bucket full of 20 or 30 Fin Fang. Yep, that's what. I'll just go ahead and tell y'all. Yep,
Wasn't the problem like it was over a KO that was so good that you didn't know the difference?
Yeah, so they made a KO of it, and it's probably the best KO version of a toy.
Oops,
right? I mean, it literally looked the same. Apparently, this dude that lives in Puerto Rico, real good buddy of mine, trading buddy. I don't mean in real life. I've never met him.
He's an internet friend.
Yeah, internet friend that I've known for a few years. It was his birthday. I was going to send. He bought it from me. Bought the real one, the legit or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, and it was my fault. It was my fault. I either sent him the KO and sent him the KO and sent the other guy the real one. Whatever happened right there, because I had just reviewed them. Okay, like literally, not even a week beforehand. I actually got a YouTube video. That's the controversial part of it. Everybody's like, "Well, he just made a video comparison. How did he not know?" You know,
because the comparison was literally showing off how close they are. You couldn't tell the difference. And then in reality, exactly. you had the Parent Trap happen to you.
When the second guy, not the birthday guy, the second guy got his. We traded half money and half figures.
Yeah.
Well, basically, when he got his, he had it for like 2 or 3 weeks. No big deal. All of a sudden, somebody's like, "Oh, that's a fake. That's a fake." And honest to God, I did not realize it. Okay. I told him immediately. I said, "Dude," and y'all have heard the story 50,000 times. Well, maybe not your subscribers, but anyway.
Oh, yeah,
I said, "Hey, man, if it's fake, dude, send it back to me. I'll not only credit your money back immediately because it was PayPal, so it was safe. I'll pay your shipping."
Yeah.
The dude freaked and never sent it back. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sending your money until you send me my figure. Like I wasn't going to be left in the dark.
That happens. That happens. So, okay, fine. Let's, it's not it's because you've brought this up. I'm going to bring it up here. I've got another topic as well if we get there, but, yeah, let's just talk about this because it comes up a lot now. I've seen it a ton, and you brought it up earlier in your Instagram post when you found that, or your video where the Marvel 3-pack had replaced figures or stolen parts.
Oh,
okay.
Yes,
so let's talk about the crappier aspects and the crappier type of people in this collector community that we have. The people who are stealing build-to-figure parts, people who are swapping figures out in the store, or they're swapping them, taking it home, swapping, bringing it back, whatever. Because I see posts weekly, dozens of these posts, guys. They're literally taking, like, hold on, I got right. Okay, so I got a Marvel figure. So I got Venom here, not Venom, Poison. I love how I'm doing this on the small screen. Give me a sec. Big screen. So I got Poison here. So they'll take this figure home, swap it out with some run-of-the-mill Spider-Man that nobody cares about. They got for like $2 probably on sale. And then bring it back to the store, gets her money back, and whatever. Or they're flat out stealing Build-A-Figures. Look at how many Sasquatch parts got stolen because nobody wanted to buy all the Sasquatch figures or Build-A-Figures for that. And on top of that, so that's already the scum of the earth. But then you got the online sellers, the people in the Facebook groups who will sell a figure, take the money, and then disappear into the ether. They're like, and they may have never had the figure in the first place. Or it's hey, I sent you that money. How long is it going to be till you send me the figure? It's been like 3 days. I ain't heard nothing back from you. I saw that the other day on the Power Rangers trading group. And like, he literally paid the dude, and hasn't been 3 days since he got a response. And he's like, well, how long do I wait to open a case? I'm like, if you ain't got a response in 3 days on an eBay post,
yeah, dude.
You file that case immediately, man.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more prevalent. The more stuff that comes out, it's getting worse. And what was it on your video, the top comment, the one you pinned, was like, maybe in the case of when people are trying to return something, they keep photos of the actual figure or whatever up there to compare to make sure.
The employer.
Yeah, the actual employer of Target in this case. And I don't think that would work personally, because I think that's just too much effort on their part. Yeah. And like you were talking about, you took it up there, or in another case, you took something up that had been swapped out, and you said the next day you went back in there and it's back on. They didn't even care.
Literally.
And it's like you've got the scum of the earth stealing. You've got corporations that don't care. You got people stealing money from other people, selling figures they may not even have. Or how about this? I love people who are pre-selling the Silver Surfer.
Oh my gosh!
You saw that, right?
Oh yeah,
I know you saw it. Hey, I got 4 of them on order. I'm gonna pre-sell them right now. And then
they were doing that to this guy, man.
Yeah.
Mezco
oh, dude,
Pre-selling the mess out of him, dude.
no, Comic-Con exclusives. Everybody's selling them out before they even got them in hand. I'm just like, how do you even? I'm not saying all those people are
How?
scammers. I'm not saying all of them are
Right.
scammers. Let's just be straight up
Right.
here. But you know, anytime you're in the collecting world, and we talked about this earlier with my beer collecting and trading, it happened a lot, especially in the shipping and selling of alcoholic beverages without a license. Um, there were a lot of people who just disappeared with people's money and or beer that may or may not have been real,
Yeah, it's
or
like, what you gonna do? I mean,
or in the case of a trade, you send your figure off, and
that's
yours
always.
doesn't come in.
Whew, that's always
And you
tricky,
know,
dude.
you got to establish that. And, it's one thing like, okay, like I know your reputation, your good reputation, I should say. So when you found those Silver Surfers earlier, and I hit you up along with the other 5 people, and I'm like, dude, snag it, snag it. I was like, do I really go there? I'm like, do I really hit him up to go get it? And then I went, yeah, I'm gonna hit him up to go get it. And you did. Presumably.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
I sent you the money, and I got a picture back of a thing you had in your hand of a store you were at earlier. So I'm just trusting that it's going to show up on my door next Wednesday. Let's just be honest here.
Sending the same picture to
Just send the same. You know it happens. You know it. You know it happens.
Here we are. We're not even in the store, so there's your Silver Surfer.
That's a Silver Surfer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
You
that's
had
true.
I'm just messing because they're going to be the people. You can hear of the keyboards clicking. They're clicking right now. Nah, he ain't going to send you that figure. By the time this comes out, I will have
all 6 of them.
All 6 of them, and he's going to sell them back on eBay for double.
A surfer army.
Well, you got a Valkyrie army.
Exactly.
But I mean, what is a real way that we can combat this, though? I mean, like, is there a real way to even deal with it? I mean, is there something even Hasbro or, in some cases, Bandai could do to deal with it?
I mean, the only small thing is kind of what Toy Biz did. Now, it wasn't completely out of the spectrum, but it did slow down most of it. And it's really the packaging, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Toy Biz, they had, I don't even know if I have one. Actually, well, yeah, anyway, I don't have one behind me, but they were literally sealed plastic. You are not going in a store and grabbing one that easy. You'd either have to literally pull out a razor blade, or a knife and cut it. So that would automatically deter a lot of people.
Right? Yeah.
This thing right here, though, dude, cardboard, man. One little swipe, your finger, rip the cardboard, grab whatever part you want. I'm talking within seconds.
Well, here's the worst thing.
This packaging.
Now you know what? I've got a Killmonger figure right up there on the wall that could easily swap out for that Silver Surfer because the internal dimensions of the packaging is identical on every single one.
Exactly.
So their cost saving measure is in fact costing them money because they're losing sales of things that are getting stolen because they don't have any kind of theft prevention, except the ones in Mexico, like you posted, which I found that amazing.
They were serious down there in Mexico, brother.
That's because they'll take a hand if they catch you. But that might not be an exaggeration.
Man.
But
I like to bust it out laughing when I saw it. I was with my interpreter, and the only Americanized thing we could find was literally a Walmart. Which, trust me, it wasn't like any Walmart around here or whatever. Obviously, so we walk in, and I said, "Hey man, give me 1 second. I want to see, just for kicks and giggles." I said, "Where are the toys?" And he takes me right to them. And dude, I cracked up laughing when I saw them things. I said, "Y'all men on card collectors, it's over. Like you might as well forget it." Like,
and it's great to have this kind of packaging, whether it's Black Series, because dude, look how many solo figures were getting stolen. Like people buying Zuvios and swapping them out for Chewies.
Oh my gosh.
And because people at the counter don't know, but like. It's too easy to break into, but if you get something like the classic design ones, the ones that are on card in the bubble,
right?
You're not going to just snag that without ripping it open in the store and leaving empty packaging. And it happens. Well, I'm not even going to pretend it doesn't happen.
There again, it's like this literally is a tray that slides out, grab, slide back, and nobody really knows. It's just, don't get me wrong, it looks amazing on the wall, or whatever, it looks good, but I don't know. I think that would even if it was this, but all plastic with the clamshell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like literally the same shape, same mold,
But it was
but just
a sealed clamshell. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Then
The kind that we used to slice our fingers open on all the time.
basically,
Yeah.
but there again, like I said, I mean, you can't. That would at least slow down a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I could be
what
wrong,
what
but
I mean, I know it's definitely not cost effective, especially for new figures. But I mean, go
that's
back
right.
to the old Marvel Legends figures. You know, so they've got the whole big comic looking back, or in fact, a comic in it, and then you got
Yeah,
your figure in bubble and everything like that. I mean, that was a real collector's item. This is more like a $20 kids toy, but it's a
and
collector's item.
especially nowadays, they're going to re-release everything
Yeah,
a month later or what? So
yeah.
it's like,
But
oh,
everybody needs to have the newest and best right off the bat. Clearly,
but you're not going to stop. I don't care what packaging you have.
yeah,
That instance on my video when I'm in Target,
yeah,
oh man, collector that bought it, took it home,
yeah.
and did all that, switched it out, and then brought it back, got their money back,
Yeah, there's no
kept
way.
the new figures.
Yeah,
Dude,
you can't. You're not going to fight that without
you ain't gonna stop that.
without the prevention that your subscriber mentioned. You know, knowing that you're getting back the wrong thing, and it's even
And the
worse.
problem
And
with the pictures and stuff, I mean, obviously, well, this ain't a good example, but most Marvel Legends, the whole wave, you'll have, 6
yeah,
or 7 characters. So even somebody that knew nothing about it, they could look on the back, oh, okay. Or, but those new 10 anniversary, there's no way to know that. I mean,
no, because they're not even that different.
because it's literally the same figure.
Yeah,
Just new paint or whatever.
yeah, new paint or just minor detail, like the slight differences in the
they're
build
not,
a figure Thanos and the regular Thanos. You know, it's nothing
yeah,
really that
ain't
big.
nobody gonna notice.
But
That,
why? I don't understand if. I mean, how much you want to bet he stole the Thanos build a figure in the first place?
Probably.
Let's be honest
It's
here.
probably one vicious cycle.
Yeah, you
And,
just
somebody just.
yeah, but I mean, why would he? I don't get it, man. I mean, I grew up, and we talked about morals, the lack of morals in here, and you're talking about evil in their hearts and this, that, and the other. But the lack, you call it too much evil in their hearts. I call it not enough belt on their butts. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
if my
You're
mom
right.
caught me, belt, fly swatter, whatever's nearby, TV guide, remote control for the TV. You know, the old wooden TV that was actually part of furniture. That was a real remote that you have with that thing. That's gonna leave some bruises on the backside. And nowadays, it could be a 30-year-old dude, but
Yeah.
he never
Let me give me and you the whole night talking about hashtag real talk or whatever.
Yeah, we're real talking now.
Bouncing off what you just said.
Yeah.
A lot of awesome guys that both of us know right now, not even gonna name their names. They take up for these younger guys. And when I say younger, I'm talking about in their 20s, dude.
Yeah.
Right now. These awesome guys that'll say, well, they just young. Let me tell you something. My 5-year-old and my 7-year-old knows better. I'm sorry. If you're in your 20s, 30s, brother, don't give me that bull talking about, but it goes back to what you just said.
Yeah.
You didn't get your butt whipped. Because my 5 and 7-year-old, they still something, man. I'm gonna wear that butt out. That's just what it is. I mean,
and let's just, we're not going to go off the deep end on this, but let's just be honest here, people. There's a difference between beating your children and punishing your children.
Exactly.
Because if you're beating your child, odds are you're getting pleasure out of it. If you're punishing your child, it breaks your heart as much as it breaks theirs.
That's exactly right.
But you might be whipping their behind, but they're shaping them into a better person from the backside out.
And the next time
you can quote me.
Oh, whoa, wait a minute! If I try to steal this or whatever,
you can quote me on that too. By the way, you're shaping them into a better person from the backside out.
I hear you.
Write that one down. If only that was going to be on the internet permanently forever.
But I mean, hey.
But it's
I mean, it goes back to the culture we're in, and it's just. And what it is.
And we talked about it. We briefly touched on it earlier, and Nate and I talked about it. Of course, nobody's going to see that one because that is the most glitchy thing ever. Talking about the poison, not the character, but the poisonous people who come into this culture from the outside and just want to take and earn whatever they can from it without being a part of it. It's like those people are the ones who are stealing these figures. Other than just the crazy collectors. There are the
Yeah,
crazies.
there are some of those.
They're the
Yeah.
crazies, but then there's also the people who are just trying to benefit from it. And there's also,
Right.
and this is the world we live in, doing it for the clicks, doing it for the likes, doing it for the follows. Hey man, I got this figures before anybody else. Yeah, because you stole it out of the things at Walgreens. As a- you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
they get to think,
congratulations.
check this out, and then they do. What's even worse is there's probably reviews out there of stolen figures, and that just being
Yeah, that,
you and
that's
I
a whole other.
we don't do the same job by any means. We don't earn the same amount of money by any means, but we spend our hard-earned money on the things we love.
Exactly.
Those people go out there and take the things that we love without any effort. Sorry, that don't
And
fly.
then when we're people like me and you,
Mhm.
whatever money we made, hard-earned money, we're trying to find that particular figure,
We
and we find the box and it's missing something. It's like, dude, like, come on, man.
I'm gonna bring up a funny thing here, and it was not a theft problem. It was a QC problem. I'll show you right here. It's gonna come up in the review
Right.
itself. Okay, so I got the X-Force Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what's wrong?
Sasquatch
Yeah, the
Deadpool.
Sasquatch one. Can you tell me what's wrong with this right off the bat?
Like
What's missing?
the Sasquatch piece.
Well, that's missing because I gave it to somebody.
Oh.
What's missing otherwise? Something he should have, but he doesn't clearly. And I'll tell you, it's on this side over here. I know it's a crappy photo. He's missing a sword. He was missing a sword.
He had two swords. Yeah, and I literally looked.
Yeah, it's right there behind you. Yeah, but no, he's supposed to have two katanas. I bought this brand new from GameStop, still sealed, only one set of tape on it, never punctured, missing a sword. Right. Hasbro shortchanged me on that.
Right, thanks.
But I just wanted Deadpool so bad I didn't care, and I wasn't chasing the build a figure. I don't care about Sasquatch. I just wanted to have all me Deadpools in one place. So I mean, I could have hit up Hasbro and said, "Hey, I'm missing a sword," but then by the time it gets there, but there's the people who. What's that?
Now he's a one-sworded Deadpool.
Yeah, so you can have a sword in one hand and a gun in the other. It's fine. But before I really got into this collecting game, getting these things, I was at Walgreens. I was looking for My Little World of Nintendo figures because it's the only place you can buy them at this point. And there's the Netflix Daredevil. Yeah, fantastic little figure.
Yeah.
And his tonfas are gone. Or his whatever, his sticks.
Yeah, the little
both of them. Somebody stole his, left everything else in there. Left the figure, just stole the weapons. And then there was who was it? I don't remember which figure it was. Stole her weapons or her accessories. Just the accessories. Left the figure. There was no Build-A-Figure part. Stole only those parts. I'm like, what? Like what?
Now this is gonna sound out there to some people that don't realize how in depth collecting can go or whatever. Unfortunately, you have to say what I'm about to say in the same word as collecting. But there are underground people. I know, sound like some drug ring, but it's not.
There's a black market
that actually, yeah, really, and they mold that stuff. If they can get it first, hey, let me go ahead and grab these accessories. Go ahead and mold them, paint them, sell them on eBay, whatever. I know that sounds out there.
No, it's the KO market,
I know
but
right here literally in my community, like physically here
in Georgia. I don't think I ever considered that they would be making KO parts. I never thought about that.
Matter of fact, dude, there's this one guy. Now, I love the dude to death. Right here in my community. I know him in real life. Woo,
I told you. No,
the dude was making so much good money on that fact right there. He turned half of his house, dude, into straight up molding these figures and parts and heads or whatever, dude. Cast or whatever.
Yeah.
That he quit his full
main job.
I mean, he was bringing it in. Well, here's what happened, dude. About 3 months in, he got a letter. No joke. I saw it with my own eyes. An official letter from Mezco and Hasbro telling him to cease and desist.
He got a real cease and desist because he's stealing.
Joke, dude. Blew my mind. Blew his mind.
What? I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due. He got their attention. He did it. He did a good enough job, and didn't stay underground enough that he got their actual attention.
And where he messed up was what you just said. Where he messed up was the reason he was doing so good
He was
because
selling
he
them as
was,
official,
it was
wasn't
just
he?
in the Facebook groups. Nobody cared. Mezco ain't in there, or whatever.
Yeah.
Seen these little Instagram. But where he messed up, he made an actual official website.
Like oh, you don't do that. Nope, you don't unless you have a good fake copy that you can sell as a KO thing. You don't do that. By the way, I gave Hulk a gun arm for no reason.
Nice.
I'm just playing with stuff over here. His hand just perfectly fit. His hand just perfectly like crammed in there. Hilarious. It's pretty funny though. But yeah, no, I mean it's the funny thing is, I mean, it's not just in this collector community. It's on a lot of them. It's toys. Yeah. Let's just say in toys in general. But even and I've done an entire nerdcast on knockoffs and knockoff companies that Bandai had to take down for knockoff Gundam kits. So I mean, the perfect grade unicorn is the biggest one when it comes to, no pun intended. And everybody watching my channel, they know this. Because it's perfect grade. It is literally the biggest size you can get. Well, technically mega size is bigger, but anyways. Dabin is the name of the company, and they bought one. The earliest copy they could get. They bought it. They exactly copied the runners, made their own molds. Didn't exactly copy the electronics. They made some very crappy versions of the same electronics. And then they even copied the box art to a T. Like, completely ripped off the box except put their label on it and slightly altered the name on it and sold it for $200 less. So undercutting Bandai by $200. Ooh. So wait, was that? Yeah, it was. I had to think. They've shut down 2 or 3 knockoff companies in the last year in China. They actually found the proper legal loopholes because they're doing it where they are, and there are actually laws against it, so they got them shut down. But people in the garage is another story.
Yeah. Speaking of KO or whatever, since that's what I'm famously known for. Anyways, but joking. But anyways,
quit selling them knockoffs, dog.
The Mezco, they're knockoffs. You got to be careful too if you don't really know.
Yeah.
Obviously, dude, if you're on eBay, for those of y'all new or shopping or whatever, dude, if it says Hong Kong or China,
nope.
If it's $50 or $30, I mean, some of that stuff y'all gotta use. You gotta be wise, man. Don't be stupid. It's like, come on, if an $80 figure out the door is $30, then come on, man. That's the first sign.
But you and I both know that, and everybody else in this community, whichever community it is, you're going to try to save a buck. And you're not going to look real hard at it until you get it in your hand.
That's true.
You're going to see that $$ sign on Amazon or on eBay or in a dumb Facebook group. And you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to have it for that price.
Obviously don't have no problem with those, the actual KO, because look.
Good KOs.
Mezco, for instance.
Yeah.
The good KO. Like Mezco's Punisher. The Punisher knockoff is the best knockoff ever. I mean, dude, why spend, no joke, $200 for a Mezco Punisher, which is what it's going for now, the basic version, when you can buy literally $50, molded accessories, painted. I mean, everything, dude, looks just like it. And hey, some kid, somebody that really, they just want that Punisher, no big deal. It's going to be in your D-top, whatever, on your shelf, and it looks pretty darn good.
I mean, Transformers, there's tons of Transformers knockoff companies. Some of them really bad, and some of them are actually made a name for themselves in being good knockoffs. Weizhang and Zhuzhang are some of the top ones in the Transformers community because they not only do straight copies, they also will do upscaled copies. So you can get the Masterpiece Optimus.
See, that's cool right there now.
Up a size class. And all the details and actually all the increased engineering and paint, everything. And you're going to pay a decent price for it. But the fact that they even have knockoff companies that are now developing their own versions, not just straight knocking off, but like they took, say like the Combiner Wars aerial bots. I think it is Zeta Toys is making their own version of that. So they took what was, and let's just be honest, Combiner Wars and all that trilogy sucks toy wise. They took the engineering the band or Hasbro put into it, upsizing it, detailing it out the wazoo, making it better in so many different ways, and then turning around and selling their own product. So they took what Hasbro had, knocked it off, and then improved it to make their own product.
That's crazy.
Instead of just straight copying, because now they know that companies are shutting them down. Of course, they're third-party companies, so KO companies are now becoming third-party companies. And
right.
And I've talked in depth about that on my channel, especially with Gundams, because there are third-party Gundam companies that some of them are being shut down because there's too much KO involved. They're knocking off a little too much in their third-partiness. They got a little too much second-party in their third-party.
Well, brother, I definitely ain't trying to cut nothing short, but I'm gonna have to hit the sag. It's almost 1:00 in the morning over here.
Oh yeah.
In Georgia, brother.
All right, fine. We'll be like that. Yeah, we did start. We did start a bit late, but it's all good. We didn't get to the final point, but we made a lot of good ones along the way.
Well, get to the final one. It don't matter.
No, I was gonna. Well, yeah, okay. I mean, we'll cut it. We'll go with one of the questions. Okay, hold on. That's what I was going for. I keep picking up my notebook. I was actually trying to pick up my other thing here. No, believe me, it's late. And I gotta be at work tomorrow morning. Okay. This is from Mr. Nathan Simmons, a friend of ours. Okay, so he kind of he threw them in one big like thing, but he basically So how did the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the DCEU that is now dead, change the dynamic for toy and comic collectors? But he has a whole bunch of other things down there. He kind of expounded on the question. And then he's throwing in the Fox merger with Disney, with getting more Marvel characters involved and all that stuff. But let's just go with the first one. How did the new cinematic universes and changing thing, how did that really affect both toy collectors and let's say comic collectors? Because we're both comic readers, we're both comic collectors here. So having things come out in such a fashion, and now big screen movie universes that are based off the original comic, how is that affecting it, do you think, on the collector side?
I think it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, depending on how hardcore of a collector you are. For instance, I've been reading comics since I was like 8 years old or whatever. So, and there again, not trying to go back to what we talked about way earlier, but for instance, Nick Fury to me.
Oh, here we go. It's white Nick Fury. He's going
racing over here.
Hey,
it's the white dude with the
both Nick Furies now exist in the same universe, so we can't really complain.
That's very true. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because they acknowledge that they're two different Nick Furies.
Yeah, well, they didn't for a minute.
Hold on. I want to make a graphic where I have Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus and both Nick Furies on the screen. If I can make this happen, I'm doing it. Best of both worlds.
You gotta make that happen.
But wait, how can he be that Nick Fury and this Nick Fury?
Like,
he's not.
So that kind of stuff was... But to me, that was like, man, come on, man. Like, why? Anyway, that's the whole...
Because Samuel L. Jackson, that's why.
I get
that's the truth.
Samuel L. Jackson is the man. He's the man. So, anyway, Shaft, But for instance, a blessing to me was, and this makes total sense, actually. For instance, Spider-Man, okay? The Sam Raimi, the first, trilogy or whatever. Cinematic Spidey.
Proper Spider-Man.
He, he didn't have to make his own web.
No, he was a mutant. Organic. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. You got bit by a spider. You got radioactive blood. You can stick to walls already. You can, shoot webs or whatever. So that was fine. That was an evolution of a character in a good way. And they actually brought that into the comics for a while, whether people realize that or not.
I did not.
But now he's back to the web shooters. But anyways, whatever. So that didn't bother me. That was like, okay, that they should have done that in the comics. You know what I mean? Like way back. That made sense to me.
He's already a mutated person, so why not?
Exactly. So, but there again, literally today, like this shirt I've got on, this is straight up 90s Jim Lee X-Men. Okay.
Yeah.
Got this shirt from Target, by the way. This is not sponsored by Target, but just saying this
Yeah, no,
video.
I'm jealous. I like that shirt.
But yeah, it was like $8 at Target today. Anyway, so my wife, for instance, she said, "Where'd you get that shirt?" I said, "I got it from Target, whatever, good price, you know." And I said, "This is the X-Men that I made the statement." I said, "When somebody thinks of the X-Men, this is what they think of." She said, she hit me with that elbow. She said, "No, when I think of the X-Men, I think of the movie versions because that's all she knows." So it was a perfect question, Nathan, because literally today that got brought up at a casual conversation. Me and my own wife, she didn't know who the X-Men were. Never saw these X-Men that's on my shirt. But the X-Men she knows is the movie, you know, Hugh Jackman and all them or whatever. So it's very interesting. I think it's an awesome thing for the cinematic universe because it brings new fans in. Yeah. Now, old school fans like me that nitpick and know everything about Logan, know who James Howlett, whatever, Wolverine, know that, all that stuff. They don't know that. My wife don't know that. You know, knows it's Logan, but, you know, they don't know all those details. They don't know he had the yellow spandex, you know.
Yellow and brown.
Not have got that joke in the first X-Men movie. The new cats might not have, they probably didn't get it. It went over their head. Somebody like me, that made me laugh. I was thinking when Cyclops asked him, "What was you expecting? You know, you want some yellow spandex or whatever?" So I think it's good. I mean, for the new people, but anyway.
Just on that thought, just because we're talking movie Wolverine, how about at the end of the Wolverine, where the cut scene where he actually was given the old school brown and yellow, but we cut that out entirely. Like, I know he would have never worn it, but it would have fit. If they'd left that scene in there, it would have fit into Logan when they talk about Cyclops writing the comic books, and they all have these crazy costumes. When we know in that universe they didn't, so that means he did some kind of parody of that. But at some point, if we had that, would have been cool. No, I agree. I agree with you as an old cartoon fan, at least knowing the comics. My friends had some. I knew the characters. I definitely knew the old school '90s, '80s characters. And the Fantastic Four, I think, has had it worse than anybody. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, he talked about on the collector side. I guess as a comic fan, seeing something different than you know on the screen, nitpicking, as you said, like, yeah, that's not really how he would do that, or no, that's not really what that character is all about. Why would they do that? You know, things like that is different. But yeah, they're not saying, hey, this is exactly what you've had before, you're going to see it this way. No, I mean, they've definitely said we're going to do our own thing based off of what exists. And I think the first X-Men had it closest, and then they kind of just dropped the ball progressively as time went on until they got to the Wolverine standalone movies, except for X-Men Origins. We're eliminating X-Men Origins Wolverine from the timeline. Yeah, as well as should
and that
be.
Deadpool too.
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore. It's been taken care of.
Well,
as of Deadpool 2, it's been taken care of.
that was funny. What was I gonna say? Oh,
I don't know. Words.
I don't know either. It was words though, but man. Oh.
Praise be to Disney.
Newer comic readers now. I guess it wouldn't be so new now, but the last 10 years, last decade.
Yeah.
When with Marvel, anyways, I don't whatever DC, but with Marvel when they did the Ultimates line, you know, that's where the movies are based out of. The movies,
it's mostly based off Ultimate Universe,
Exactly. So I mean, for those new comic readers, the last decade, dude, that's right up there. They're like, oh, snap! This is literally what I'm reading. You know, it's a little more evolved for somebody like me, but
well, how about the idea that like people like your wife who had no clue about classic X-Men or even probably other classic superheroes. And this has to be true because comic book stores are still a thing. They still exist. And not for us old farts who are going in there weekly. They got to have new blood. But it's the people who see these new things on the screen. TV, Netflix. Look at what Netflix is doing, Marvel. Some of the biggest series on the planet. Let's just be honest. Even some of the ABC series. They all instill in newer people a sense of that wonder that we got when we were younger, stuff like that. And they go, hold on, I know these things are based off of comics. Let me go see what the comics are all about.
That's true.
So it does happen. There's that crossover. There are definitely the people like, this is the only Hulk that's ever existed. not even in the cinematic
Well,
universe.
look,
Let's be honest.
dude, look. I'm
But
gonna tell you this: as when I walked in, this ain't bragging. I'm just very thankful that I was able to acquire this collectible or whatever.
yeah,
But I've got Infinity Gauntlet,
mm-hmm.
the one with the articulated,
The good one.
that. Yeah, the good one. And I just was randomly Best Buy of all places.
Oh yeah, because they started doing collectibles there.
Walked in there. Yeah, so I was like, let me take this. Anyways, saying all that, it felt amazing walking in with that bad boy on, and not just my wife, but my mother-in-law knew exactly what it was. Why? Because both of them love the Avengers, Infinity War, all that. They knew what that was.
This is something that Nate and I touched on when we talked about the change of nerd culture that has happened in the last bit, because we talked about FDCC and the fact that it's been basically invaded by new nerds. You got your classic nerds that have been going there for 15 years, and you've got the new nerds who have seen the Marvel Cinematic movies and go dressed up as Captain America, Iron Man, cosplay, whatever. But the fact that it has brought nerd culture to the forefront. It is now mainstream. It's huge movies. If you tell people about the old Fantastic Four movie, the old, actually nobody ever saw that movie. It never really came out technically.
I know
the original Captain America movie, that old one, where he stole a car a couple times, and Red Skull looked, ooh, good lord, that old Red Skull. But and then when he threw the shield, it made the weirdest noise. If you tell them that these movies all existed before, or how about the Japanese Spider-Man movie you know what I'm talking about, where he had a giant spider mech to pilot. People don't know that these things have existed for decades outside of the comics, even in cinematic or even TV universes. And I'm sorry if you somehow don't know the theme song to the X-Men cartoon. What have you been doing? You had to have been born after 2000. Man. Let's just be honest here. But to the fact that I think that he was going in the direction of like collectibles and collectors and stuff like that, but really it comes down to nerd culture. It made, with the exception of the DCEU, I'll change that, because Harley Quinn has changed things more than anything for DC in the last 10 years, 5 years even.
She's one of the rare characters, period, across any comic genre that actually did not come out of a comic book.
She came from the cartoon
series
and has branched out. Yeah. So the fact that a one-time only character from a cartoon expanded not only into the comic book continuity, but now into mainstream continuity in a movie universe, and is also kind of falsely worshipped. Let's just be honest. Let's talk about the people who worship the relationship between Harley Quinn and the Joker without truly understanding it.
Right. Which blew my mind here recently with the whole 2 Harley Quinns and 2 Jokers, the White Knight or whatever.
Dude, did you read White Knight? Have you read it?
I did.
It's such a good story, is it not?
It blew my mind.
I loved White Knight, dude. I told Bobby Skullface that he needed to get the main
I've
release.
said it for the last 2 years. Dude, like as far as movies, Marvel all day long.
All day long, yeah.
All day long. But dude, the comics, man, look.
DC.
Dark Knight's Metal, the Button, man.
Everything.
Marvel ain't got nothing on
everything. Okay, well, it's because because I've started reading the newer Marvel stuff, like the stuff that's just coming out. So I picked up the new Iron Man and the new Venom because I wanted to see where it's coming from. Plus classic characters, But I got it back into comic books because of Dark Knight's Metal, and I've gotten. I finally got the last piece I needed of Dark Knight's Metal. I needed the.
That's incredible.
I needed the Teen Titans. No, I needed the Suicide Squad tie-in. That was the last thing I needed, and I finally got it a few weeks ago. But everything's spawned since. Like even the new Age of Heroes, mind you, they're all ripoffs of Marvel. Let's just be honest. But I'm loving.
Oh, they are, yeah.
I'm loving a lot of the new Age of Heroes. That's all I'm really reading right now. New Justice League, new Justice League Dark, all the new stories. And it's funny that DC used to be like, okay, other than Batman, everybody was essentially all lighthearted and fun and stuff like that. Marvel had some real stuff with going all the way back to Tony Stark dealing, demon in a bottle
Alcohol, yeah.
storyline, which was only covered by his PTSD in the movies, not his alcoholism. Which Robert Downey
Right.
Jr. is the perfect person to deal with that. That was his freaking life.
I mean, literally.
Literally, he is Iron Man, rising from the ash. Anyways, I talked about that on a completely different podcast, actually. But like DC taking their dark and grittiness that they tried to accomplish in their movies that fell flat on its face works in the comics.
Unfortunately,
it works in the comics.
Yeah.
And like, I think that like here in the next couple of years, we need a DC animated Dark Knight's Metal. Like they need
that would be,
and they need
sick.
they need to put money into it. Give us.
And I would love, and I hate the multiverse. I call it the crappy verse. Every time I do a review or something, I just, jokingly, oh, it's the crappy verse. But
the toy lines, they need they need all the Dark Knights.
Dude,
all of them.
Bring me that.
And have a build a figure for Barbatos.
That's what I'm saying.
But the statues of the Batman Who Laughs are actually pretty good. But
I've seen them. I just don't collect statues.
No, I don't either. I want a figure.
They look amazing.
I want a Batman Who Laughs with two of his crows with him. The evil Robins that he's got, or even give us the evil Robin from the universe. That was crazy.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I want all of them, dude. If you guys and many of my subscribers I've talked to, once I started talking about the comics, like, dude, it's so good. I'm like, I know. But yeah, you're right. Marvel movie cinematic period.
Yeah, man.
DC looks like they're going in a different direction now that I can appreciate, now that they're breaking it up from a continuous universe to continuous side universes. Everybody has their own storylines. I can live with that. Except that clearly, as we found out in the news the last couple of days, Ben Affleck's gone off the deep end recently. So I don't know how.
No, dude, that's crazy, man.
I mean, with all the mess. First of all, the mess that Disney has gotten themselves into with the Guardians crap.
See, that's just
on it. Okay, let's that'll be the last thing we talk about. Let's just go there real quick, because I need to get this out. God dang it. Good dang it. Disney should have forgiven James Gunn, flat out. Punish him, sure. Dock him something, whatever. But let him make the movie. When you've got every member of the crew, every member of the cast behind him saying, no, that is not who this man is. He may have been that young dumb idiot 10 years ago, posting stuff to just get attention, but now he's not like that. He even apologized for all that, not only now, but he apologized for it then. It's a decade old, man, going all the way back to 2006. A dumb tweet, and like it, and now it is honestly truly starting to threaten the established MCU, because I just saw earlier that they've put Guardians 3 on indefinite hiatus.
Right.
Until they get it all straightened out.
Because if them guys are serious, it's going to be on hiatus. Because
you saw
those guys aren't going to. I mean, Drax and all them. I mean,
yeah. If Drax, the thing is, Drax is the only one who said he ain't going to work without James. The other ones just said we want him back. They didn't say, well, we're not going to work. Yeah. Batista literally said, if you don't use his script, I'm not going to be in this movie, because they've seen what he wrote. They know, but they're talking about. And I saw in that article, whether it's real or not, it's the internet, it said that Disney basically laid off the entire production crew because they were already built. They were just setting up for the movie that James had written. They were the same production crew that worked on the last two. So you're telling me they're going to start over fresh completely? Like, no, it's like, look, if you don't like what the man said, fine. Let him work out this trilogy that is a part of your major $1 trillion industry that you've built. Let him finish it out. Give him no money for it. Just let him finish it. Take his name off of it. Let the cast do their thing. Let this happen. And then let him go. Let him just go do whatever he's going to do next with his life. Because now it ain't really the world we live in, and but Disney, and this is my opinion, you guys can feel however you want. Of course, I want your opinion on it too, because that's why we're here talking. Disney shot themselves in the foot. And now they're trying to figure out what to do about the bullet. They're like, well, no, we made the decision. We're good. And now they're seeing the backlash for shooting themselves in the foot. Not just from the fans, but from the people who work for them. They're like, okay, if you're going to do it over this movie, and let's just be honest, Disney has a horrible history of their own that they've done everything to either embrace or apologize for. As a company, they've done this in the past. We all have seen the really badly racist stuff that came out from the 30s and 40s. We all know it's there. It's still out there in the world. They actually sold it as a collection and then went, you know what? This is what this was about. This, that, and the other. Song of the South. Anybody go look up Song of the South and see how terrible of an actual racist and bigoted movie it was. But that was made in like 1937. Actually, I think it was like 1950 something. But either way, old movies. So if we're only going to go back 10 years, fine. Disney looks squeaky clean, except for some of the treatment of some of their other characters. If we're going to go back into the Me Too movement, fine. All James Gunn did was say some dumb crap on the internet. He didn't rape anybody. He didn't kill anybody. He just said some dumb stuff on Twitter. You know? So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. But, I mean, in this case, you're here. You tell everybody what you think. Now, do it.
I mean, it kind of goes back. Now, this is the higher scale, obviously. So I'm not comparing me by any means to James Gunn and all that. But that goes back to what we're talking about with the hypocrisy of it all.
Yeah.
No matter what James Gunn's done, no matter what James Dew's done. How y'all like that? Anyway, no matter what any of us have done, every one of us have done bad things, dude. We've said things we shouldn't have said. We've said things we've regretted. We've done things we've regretted. But the problem is we don't want to forgive the person we see, but we want everybody to forgive us, though. And that's the problem. Like with James Gunn, for instance, dude, get over it. The dude makes awesome movies. Like you said, he didn't hurt nobody, literally, physically hurt anybody. It's something he said. And I promise you, I don't know James Gunn, but I promise you he regrets his tweet. I guarantee you he does.
He does.
But the guy's not going to lose sleep over it. The guy's extremely talented. If Disney does end up not using him or whatever, somebody's going to pick the dude up and he's going to keep on with his life. Same with me. I'm going to keep on keeping on. James Gunn's going to keep on keeping on. So you got to make a decision. If you want people to forgive you and move on from the things you've done, you got to move on from the things that they've done, man. Like, that's just my opinion, but
you heard it here, guys. He forgives all of you for all the terrible things you say to him every day.
All the things.
All the things.
But yeah, I mean, really, something like that, man.
No, you're right, though. And people are calling out it ever since. People have been calling out the hypocrisy of Disney on this. They're like, do you just not realize where you've... And mind you, it's new Disney. We'll call them Neo Disney, just make it easier. Neo Disney is the new family-friendly Disney, which it should have always been family-friendly. Let's just be honest. But this is not the... it's stupid. Let's just be...
It is.
A grown-up did something stupid. They apologize for it. But instead of handling it like adults really would, they handle it like children. Mm-hmm. No, we don't want you here anymore. Instead of being like...
fans are going to have to basically suffer through it because whatever they end up doing with the third one.
But the problem is this. When the fans suffer, the people making the thing the fans are there for are going to suffer.
That's true.
Because... Disney, they may not see it now, except that people are definitely not going to go see Guardians 3 for the most part, because they're going to know. And they already said, well, maybe we're going to have to fire off this whole cast and reboot it anyways. I'm like, hold on. You are literally in the middle of a 40-year-long endeavor that you have planned out to the 10th, to whatever degree. And you're going to go, we're going to go ahead and reboot a major franchise right in the center of that. Now, it's one thing with the Avengers. It's one thing to cycle out the Avengers and replace them over time, because everybody's out of their 7 or 8 movie contract. So that's fine. They have replacements. The Guardians have been here for
last 10 years.
The Guardians have been here for 3 movies, and they're going to be in Infinity War 2. Or Avengers 4 technically, and they would have been here for their 3rd movie, which we should have been getting Adam Warlock in, which should be important to a lot of other things. But now we have the real threat of losing all of the Guardians cast, period, and starting over in a not tied in freaking universe. Now, mind you, there have been other Guardians over time, but they really have not looked at what they're doing. They looked at what they went, okay, this is what unilateral decision. Boom, we are Disney, and then everybody goes, hold on a minute, Disney. Did you think about what you did by firing a single man? The repercussions are not just going to be this one movie is going to suffer.
Ripple effect.
It's going to have a ripple effect. You can't not. And it's not just going to be on the fans. It's going to be on their planned universe. And they've already had to work around that when they took out the Inhumans back in the day. They just said, okay, we're going to bump the Inhumans. And then we're going to have to fill in with other movies. But that gave us things like the Ant-Man. They gave us a couple other things. And you're like, no, we'll just rely on Black Panther. It'll be fine. That's our golden child. Gonna win best picture at the Oscars. No, okay. Just briefly touching on that because it's tied into this. Black Panther was a really great movie. It was definitely not best picture.
No,
it
was good.
There were better movies than Black Panther out there. Personally, I would say that Infinity War was a better movie than Black Panther, to be honest. And I love both.
Oh, yeah.
I love them both. However, it was definitely the most popular movie. So yes, the most popular category needs to exist because it was definitely the most popular movie of last year beyond anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Period. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not racist for that. I'm movieist. There were better movies than Black Panther.
Ooh, you said Black Panther?
Oh.
How come it can't be a White Panther up in here?
We had a white wolf.
They did have a white wolf, so I guess that balance things out.
Well, just remember all the people in Wakanda are saving them white boys, so it's fine.
That is true. They said it with their own mouth.
They said exactly. Let's just, like I said, Black Panther was actually a hilarious and amazing and actually really well done movie. And I really
great actors.
I really do want, yes, definitely amazing actors. I want the M'Baku. I want the M'Baku Legends figure when it comes out because he's my favorite.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting that one, dude.
Yeah. Well, he barks. You need him in the dog pound.
I mean, exactly.
All right, man. All right, so we'll call it at that, buddy. So let's do. We'll close out real quick. All right, guys. So this is going to be a nightmare to edit, but it's all good. I can have a lot of fun with it. But thank you, of course, to Mr. James Dew here, the DEWDAWG himself, over here on the YouTube. Thank you for coming in and doing a silly little podcast with me. And I hope I can do us justice.
It was fun, dude.
And hopefully we can spark off a really fun friendship here because it's been a great fun time talking to you, my friend.
Well, anytime you meet somebody and you can talk to them for 4 hours,
yeah,
that ain't bad. I'm just saying.
And record at least half of it.
Yeah, at least.
I got proof. He said this. I said this. Just kidding.
Yeah, rewind it. Slow motion.
Everything you said can and will be held against you on the internet.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah. All right, guys. But if you are not familiar with his channel, go over there and subscribe. He's actually got more subscribers than me, so I don't really have to worry about that. But if you are on his channel, please come subscribe over to mine. It's all good, guys. And hope you guys have had fun listening to this. I want to do more of these Nerdcast one-on-one interviews in the future because imagine if there were 4 people here talking. This would have gone even longer. Man. Everybody, have a great night, great morning, great whatever time it is for you. It's bedtime for...
Peace.
I was going to say bedtime for us, but that sounds really weird. We'll catch you guys later.
His wife already went to bed. So
long time ago.
For him, so.
I assume that yours is somewhere nearby.
She's asleep somewhere.
Yeah, mine's asleep for sure. She's got pills for that. But guys, remember, as always, you don't have to be a nerd for everything, but everyone is a nerd for something. And just remember to keep on nerding wherever it is you are in the world.